FM. See you on the lips. Back attack, dude.
Bon voyage!
Hey, yo, homies, good.
Slide down them big hills, you know what I mean, on the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
All right, welcome to The Bomb Hole, which is presented by the best smelling salts in the business. Of course, run through a wall smelling salts. Get them at bombhole.com. Today, co-hosting, we have Desiree Melanson in the booth. What's happening, Des?
Hello, Chris.
So glad that you're here, along with our producer, Silk D, fashion icon. What's happening, Silk?
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Love that you're here, Silk. And we have Iris Pham in studio today. What's happening, Iris?
Hi, thank you for having me be here. I'm stoked to talk with you guys.
We are so hyped that you came through to do a podcast with us. It's an honor. And for our listeners that don't know who you are, Iris is the most recent Rookie of the Year winner. She's been on a tear this past few seasons, humbly destroying rail jams. She recently got second at the Uninvited Invitational. She won 10 grand. She won Zone 3 at Red Bull Heavy Metal. She competed at her first X Games. She filmed an Ender part for Never Summer's Wild Game video. She's got a bright future. We got lots to talk about. She's from Montana. But first, I think we should start with the Uninvited Invitational. You won 10 grand. Congrats.
Yeah,
how you feeling after that?
Good. It feels crazy. That's the most money I've ever won. And I feel like a lot of the girls were going pretty crazy. I really didn't think that I would be on the podium at all. So it was like a really big surprise. That was a sick way to end out the season for doing rail jams.
You know, I got to slap some respect on that front board through the kink because we were wondering if anyone was going to try it, and I think you were the first person to step to that. Were you scared when you stepped to that one?
Yeah, I don't know what I just did before that, but I went and got on the chairlift. I was like just trying to reset and go down and do something good, and I heard you guys say it on the mic, like, who's going to do a front board? And I was like, and we had talked about it the day before. You knew I could do it, so I was like, all right, freaking go for it. And then I got to the park, and I was like scared, so I freaking 50-50'd it. And then I was like, oh my God, do it. Mm-hmm. And then Grace started coming over and she was doing it too. And it was like a fun little battle thing between me and Grace. I loved it.
That's awesome. Now, going back to the 10 grand, what'd you do when that thing hit the account? Did you buy anything stupid? You splurge?
It just hit the other day. I'm stoked. I put it straight in the savings. I'm just trying to save money to keep living like this for the next years.
Love that.
Yeah.
Respect. Now, I'm curious, too, when it comes to contests, I see you at all the contests throughout the year, whether it's like Dew Tour or Heavy Metal, all those events. Now, how do you get your mind in the space to throw down? Like, everybody's got a different process. What do you do, like, the morning of a contest to get ready?
I stretch. I, like, drink tea. I just try to, like, keep it like a normal day. Nothing too out of the ordinary, and like be with my friends and just act like we're about to go snowboard for the regular day. It's like at the beginning I used to get really nervous. I like haven't competed much in my life. It started like a couple years ago, so at first I had no idea what I was doing and I didn't know anybody, so I was pretty scared and like intimidated. And I like had followed a lot of these people on Instagram, so like seeing them in real life, I was kind of like a fangirl. I was like, oh my God, that's that person. And like, I'm there snowboarding and like with them. So that kind of was like a adjustment I had to make to start feeling like comfortable at the events. And now I've just like prioritized having fun because that's like all you can do. And like, if you do tricks that you know you can do and like ride to your fullest potential, at least me, I'm proud of myself. And that's important.
Cool.
Hey, Iris, I got a question about that having fun. So me and Jules were running around at the Uninvited interviewing people, and we caught you on the magic carpet. And Jules asked you what you're going to do with the money if you win. And you said you don't care about winning, you just want to have fun. How do you think focusing on fun helps you? And if so, how?
Definitely. I think that it makes me ride a lot better if I'm just not focusing on what's at stake or like what other people are doing. I just am like there with my friends cheering them on, and we're all trying to ride our best.
Absolutely. I love it. So how old are you?
20.
Whew. 20. Damn, it's a good age. Remember being 20, Des?
Yeah, I remember being 20. I
I wish we could go back, kind of. It's a trip for me to hang out with the 20-year-olds a lot lately, and I'm just kind of like, well, they're doing it.
And you guys spent some time this winter making a project. I'd love to hear you talk about what it is and how it's going.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Yeah, what's the concept of the project, Des?
Concept, the concept's kind of vague and weird and in my brain, but the intention was to create a crew of individuals who maybe hadn't really fully filmed yet. So I would say maybe it's an AM-based project. It's Iris, Egan, Sierra, myself, Ted Borland's making it. And I think it was that we just wanted to make a project that highlighted people who hadn't really filmed full parts yet or had much experience. So Iris came in hot and heavy, and it was awesome to film with Iris.
You guys went to Japan?
Yeah.
How was that?
So amazing.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that happened, but ultimately it's amazing to be in a new place.
You guys streets, powder? What was the deal there? Streets, nice. What was your favorite part?
Just being there. Different experiences. We take our shoes off everywhere and eat different food and ride trains around, and I don't know. It's just all new experience.
You guys hit the 7-Elevens and everything with the crazy food?
Oh yeah, every day.
7-Elevens every day.
Every day.
It was pretty cool, especially with this group, with this crew. It was I was watching, Iris is 20. The kids are pretty young. Seeing them in Japan and eyes exploding, faces, so excited of just experiencing life. And it's just kind of oh my God, I remember that feeling when my first time to Japan with Solomon. I think it was team vacation or something, and it was some weird thing. But to see the way that they took in that type of culture on that type of trip, for me, it was incredible to witness.
That's cool. It was a good trip. You guys get some clips?
Yeah.
Nice. Where'd you guys go? Main Island?
Yeah. We went to Hakuba, Nagano, Miyako, and Tokyo for 3 days at the end.
Rad. That's awesome. All right, so we just talked about where you're at now. You're 20. You just went to Japan. You just won Rookie of the Year. We didn't talk about that, actually, but we will eventually. But let's go back to what it looked like for you as a child. I know you're from Montana, but that's about all I know. I'd love to hear you elaborate.
Yeah. I was born in Bozeman in 2003. My mom was 24, and my dad was 28, and they met in Michigan and grew up there. My dad was actually born in Pennsylvania. His whole family is Vietnamese boat people. They escaped the Vietnam War, in 1979-ish. They rowed a boat from Vietnam to Pennsylvania, and then not long after moved to Michigan. And it's a really crazy story. I did a project on it, in 8th grade for school, but it's gnarly. They were riding boats that were, super rickety, and, people were dying for sure, and kids were dying, and there was also bombing happening. It was really gnarly, and it's really cool that they made it to America. And my dad has 3 siblings, and they were all born in Vietnam, so they were all part of this when they were 2, 3, and 5 probably. And then my dad was born in America. And it's funny, my dad's actually quite a bit taller than all his siblings, and it's weird. He's American. I don't know. It's funny. I think it's some sort of the formula, or I don't know. It's something I've always been interested in, because I'm pretty tall too, and it's we're bigger than the rest of his side of the family. It's funny, but my parents met in Michigan and eventually they went on a trip to Montana, just visiting, and went to Yellowstone and went skiing and snowboarding, and my dad loved it. My mom was in nursing school in Michigan, so she hung back for a little, but my dad moved right to Montana. He was so excited. And then my mom came out, and I grew up in Bozeman. At one point, life got kind of hectic, I think, with them moving there and having a kid so early. My parents were pretty young. So they moved back to Michigan to be around family a little more and have a little more support, I think. And all I remember from living in Michigan, I was probably 2 and 3, but I remember I learned how to ride a bike. We would go to this lake and I would fly a kite around, and we'd go to Lake Michigan a lot. And also in Michigan, I skied for my very first time at Bittersweet Mountain. It was a little magic carpet, and my parents filmed like all of me growing up on this little dad cam. It's like really special. We always watch it on like Christmas or like on holidays, but they have the clip and I'm like going straight down so fast. My dad's down at the bottom filming and my mom's like trying to catch up to me and I'm just flying like straight towards the lodge and my dad's like, Becky, like get her, like freaking out. It's really funny. And so that's like there was good times in Michigan.
You started skiing when you're 3, which is also insane.
Yeah, really young.
Awesome.
So then eventually we moved back to Montana, and we're there. And I start elementary school at Longfellow Elementary. It was an awesome school. Like, they focused on art a lot, and, like, we lived 6 houses up from, like, the school on the same block. So I could just walk to school, and then my friend Tommy Bossenbrook, he, like, became my best friend in kindergarten, and he lived right on the last house on the block, like right next to the school. So his fence like bordered the school fence. So we'd always like jump over the fence and go jump on his trampoline at recess. And they'd always like be like, come back. Like, I don't know. It was awesome. I really loved going to that school and like hanging out with Tommy. We like rode our bikes around the Galligator Trail all the time in Bozeman. It was like the best times. Now like I can realize that those were awesome times. I started skiing at Bridger Bowl. I like went every single weekend with my dad, and if it was a powder day, he's pulling me out of school. Like, I always remember we'd also skip school. Well, maybe it was just President's Day, so maybe there is no school, but I remember President's Day, we always got a POW day. It was, like, really special. We were like, it's going to be a POW day, and it always was. And it was sick. And my dad, like, filmed me going off little cliffs and stuff. Like, we'd hike the ridge together. I was, like, kind of a boss of a skier when I was like 6. We'd like hike up to pretty like gnarly zones and he'd help me like navigate where I'm gonna go and get down there and he'd film it and then at the end of the day we'd like go home and make like a little edit of it and he'd put it to like these lo-fi like beats and post it on Facebook and like it was awesome. Like it was like the times. We were just shredding together. Yeah, my dad and I like did a lot of cool journeys together. My mom was a nurse at the hospital. She worked like 3 12-hour shifts a week. So then we had like 4 days of the week to like, we'd mostly go camping at this place called Cliff Lake. It has like the most beautiful turquoise water. And it was like a really special time to be able to go to Cliff Lake, mostly because like we could go kind of during the weekdays sometimes because of my mom's work schedule. I think she picked 2 of her 3 shifts to be on the weekend, so we had like a lot of the week to go camping. And we would always be there, and it's special because it's like blown up now. Like there's only 6 sites at Cliff Lake, so like now you like have to get there really early. Like, I don't know, it's just hard to get a site there. So it was a special time because it was like no one was there. My dad bring his kayak there and we would paddle over together to like a rope swing, and that's just like kind of how it started. On the way to Cliff Lake, I'd like sit on his lap and he taught me how to drive. I was like 6, like young, like, and he got me a bike. Like I'd mountain bike around town all the time, and like hiking the ridge, he'd like teach me how to pace myself. Like he like taught me how to be like super thorough in like everything that I'm doing, which was like cool. Like, and I don't think I was super aware of like how awesome that was in the moment. And now I'm like super grateful for it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. He kind of like showed me a really cool life. My brother was born when I was 6, and I was so excited to have a sibling. I thought that he was going to be a girl. I like got him all these girl clothes and toys and like little spoons and stuff that were all pink, and then he wasn't a girl, so I was like, dang it. But he's awesome. Like I was so stoked to have a little brother.
I have a couple questions for you, Iris.
Okay.
The experience that your dad provided sounds so cool. And like, I like, of course, like the feminist brain in me, you know, I kind of think about like gender roles and when you have daughters and all these things. And it sounds like the way your dad kind of just like exposed you to life, it wasn't really gendered. Like it was kind of like, no, this is like my kid. My kid's about to do everything. And it just, I guess like my mind kind of started going off because it sounds like, you know, young boys' childhood instead of like, I don't know, a little girl's. But
definitely. Yeah. I was a big tomboy. I always wore like plaid shorts and like I looked like a boy for sure. It was nice though, kind of like because I didn't be like, I'm a girly girl. Like I was like scootering around all the time, and like I don't know, I like biking. Like I was kind of on the go a lot, just like exploring Bozeman with either myself or like Tommy.
Yeah, and that's like another thing too, like you talking about like the childhood setup and the best friends and the bikes. It's like I think about my childhood and I'm like, I'm in a city. We're not allowed without supervision. So it sounds almost like kind of like adventure movie-esque or like Goonies or something where it's like you were in Montana, like
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, that's something that's special about Bozeman that I like realized as I started traveling more. It's like very kind of sheltered. Like, I don't know, it's just really safe, and it's small town. You can, we would just meander as we wanted, and it was safe, which was really nice. Didn't have to worry about a lot of like the dangers that are really out in the world that I like realized not long ago. I'm like, whoa, it's a big world out there.
One thing that jumped out at me too when you were talking, your dad taught you how to pace yourself and do, I think you said everything with like intention in the mountains. I would love to hear you elaborate on that because that caught my attention.
Yeah. He is a very like particular person, and like sometimes it's kind of intense. Like I remember it first happened, like I wanted to go to the skate park when I was like 7 eventually, and we started going to the skate park all the time, and he would like try to help me with tricks and like get an axle stall, like learn how to ollie, and like it was so nice because like he was pushing me and I needed that like coaching. Like I would never be where I am without him, but at times it was kind of intense and like I would feel like too much pressure, so we kind of had to like navigate that relationship of how he's gonna like kind of coach me and how I'm gonna be okay. And so it made me very thorough. Like he did like a lot of things happened where it's like, don't do it that way, you do it this way, and it's like, okay, that's how you do it. And like sometimes that was really hard for me, but now I look back and I'm like, I'm pretty thorough. I'm like on time most of the time. Yeah, what you said, hiking. Like he's like, take a step, like breathe, make sure you're breathing. I don't know. That's just like one example. Like another thing, he like taught me to fly fish, and that's very like, I don't know, the way you do it is like a certain technique. And like he always taught me like the technique of how to do stuff properly, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. And going back to Uninvited for a second, he was telling me that you were either texting him or calling him as you were going up the chairlift.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Like if you need some guidance or some quote unquote coaching, do you hit up your dad before a contest?
Yeah. It's been something we've had to work through. Like another thing I did growing up was play basketball, and he was pretty involved in that, and like it was good. We'd go practice a lot. He'd like help me work on like just moving my feet properly and like where I'm going to be on the court and stuff. And like that was helpful. I needed it. But like that was also something that was intense. And like after games, sometimes he'd be like, why were you there? Why were you doing this? And I would like get really like hard on myself because of it. So it's like there was a point where it's like you can coach me and stuff, but like there needs to be a level of like before be like, I'm proud of you. Like, good job. You did a good job. Mm-hmm. So like it's just been kind of like working through that. And then when the snowboarding competing started coming up, that kind of happened again. He'd be like, you got too hung up on this trick and like whatever. And he's probably right. Like he's right a lot of the time. It's kind of crazy. It's something I've had to just be like, God, you're fucking right. But like, I guess it's just like needing the like affirmation first. Like, you did a great job, and moving forward, you could do this better next time.
Yeah, and I think this is so insightful probably for listeners who might be parents of snowboarders. Like, I find this fascinating where it's like you are young enough and you had the life experience that you had, but to really hear from like the snowboarder's perspective what it's like to have a highly involved parent, like it's fascinating. And I think someone could take.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's important. Parents get excited, and it's like no one to blame. Like, they're excited and see potential, and that's awesome. Like, honestly, they're trying to like give you the best, but yeah, sometimes it can be a little much.
Well, also, you're a person.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like with parents, they're like, oh my God, this is my kid. But also it's like, yeah, you're raising a person. They're going to think different things, feel different things, have different experiences.
Yeah. Just making sure that you're checking in and also being like, I'm proud of you first is important.
Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, it's important to touch on your work ethic. Like you kind of went through the motion, or you kind of explained to us the things that were important, learning how to pace yourself, all these things. And for me, like starting to film with you, I was so impressed at your work ethic and the way that you showed up to, like, you know, film your first video part. I was kind of blown away. So I guess maybe, like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on work ethic and things like that?
I think how I just was growing up, like I had to kind of work to get to a position where I like felt stable. And then like in the video part sense and like doing all this snowboarding, it's like a dream to be in this situation I'm in right now. Like I never thought I'd be able to travel this much and like ultimately eventually start filming with like a snowboard crew and like you guys. Like it's crazy. And I remember when I met you, I was like, I want to film. I'm going to try to film a part. Like I remember it, we texted it and you were like, you don't try, you have to do it. And I literally, I was like, oh my God, I was probably crying. I was like, oh my God. But once I was allowed to start filming with you, I was like, let's go. Like, here we go. And then being able to go to Japan and Finland, like I've never traveled outside of the country other than Canada and Mexico, like across the ocean. So that was just really new. And I know that there's like, one, like money being spent, but two, like a major opportunity for me. So I was like, let's go. You're ready for this.
Oh my God. I like cringe when I remember that story where I'm like, I did say that.
I like it.
Sometimes you got to be brutally honest with the
You
kids.
do.
You know?
You helped me.
Also, oh my God, I want to point out, I remember the first time I saw you riding in person, and it was at Trollhagen. And this is, you know, like the uniqueness of Iris Pham, to see how fast you would ride into features and then just like throw up these incredibly stylish, like foundational tricks. And like my jaw was on the floor. And I remember I was just like, you're sitting there riding the ropes. And I'm like, hey, can I film you? I need to follow cam you right now because I don't know, my head's always on a swivel. I'm always looking for like, you know, the girls who are elevating snowboarding. And it's like I've worked really hard in this landscape to try to like, you know, set a standard and then to see like whatever standard I try to set just fully crushed. And it was really exciting. It is really exciting. Yeah.
That was awesome. I remember that. And you posted it on Skull Candy, and I was like, oh my God, Skull Candy. Like, this is crazy. That was a crazy day.
It was a fun day.
Jones, you ever find yourself tired, low on energy?
Yes, Chris, I do.
Well, let me tell you something. 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. And that goes up when you're in the mountains and you're at elevation. You're going to be even more dehydrated. So you know what the solution is, Jones?
Don't go to Colorado?
That's one. You could also drink Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die. There's 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes, there's no added sugar, and there's no artificial flavors.
I love that.
Now, when I'm hydrated, I have more energy, I ride better, I can probably still grab my board. When I'm dehydrated, I can't.
No, my skin literally will crack if I try to grab my board unhydrated.
You look like a lizard that's been dead for 30 years.
And not the Lizard King.
Not the Lizard King that also got run over by a car. It's roadkill.
Yeah, salamander.
Exactly. So if you want to get some Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die, use promo code BOMBHOLE for 20% off at checkout, and stay hydrated with Hydrate or Die. Jones?
I will. Thanks, Chris.
So I was cruising around YouTube getting ready for this, and I did catch some edits of you in your youth skating around, I think it was Bozeman Park, maybe?
Yeah.
It seems like you've been skating since you were a kid.
Yeah. Me and Tommy Bossenbrook, when we were little, begged his parents to let us go to the skate park, and they didn't want to take us there because they thought there was like bad people hanging around there. But eventually we got them to bring us, and people were skating all over. We were like kind of scared. We didn't really know where to go. But that kind of started it. And then eventually I would be like, Dad, take me to the skate park. So we started going like every day after school, and like the people at the skate park, like there was some like high school aged kids, like 40-year-olds, like I don't know, all over the boards. But my dad like became friends with everybody. Like, so he was just like skate park dad, and I was always like ripping around, and like those people eventually would like come help me. Like they all taught me how to drop in one day, and like everybody was super supportive, but I was the only girl at the skate park ever. Like, and there was never even really little kids. So it was kind of like different. I'm just there with my dad, and I'm young, and I don't know. It was awesome. Then eventually I was like 9, and then I kind of wanted to try snowboarding. My dad had always snowboarded, so
Because we actually have a guest question from your dad in regards to these.
oh, okay.
So I'm gonna get into that right
Okay,
here.
awesome.
Here we go.
Hey, Iris, it's Dad. Just doing a questionnaire and talking with Chris. I just want to know what made you want to start snowboarding after you were skiing for a while, and how did growing up in Montana shape the way you snowboard and how you look at snowboarding?
Aw, thank you, Dad. I miss you. That's an awesome question. I remember I had like a little journal that I would write in sometimes, like, and I'm like 9, so I don't even remember what I'm writing. But I know my parents like found it one day, and I had written like a bunch of pages about how I'm deciding that I'm gonna be a snowboarder, and like I was gonna do it. It's really funny, and they were stoked. And so my dad got me a snowboard, and I was way slower than I was at skiing, and it was like a hard transition to start snowboarding. Like I could go pretty fast, and then I couldn't go at all. So, and like catching your edge so many times, and like you get such a major headache. Like it's really hard to start snowboarding. So I like kind of wanted to give up, but eventually kept doing it. And there was also no other girls snowboarding. We were at Bridger Bowl, and I had like 3 or 4 like friends from school that skied that like weren't necessarily my friends, but I would like chase them around, and they like thought I was annoying, and I don't know, I just was like trying to ride with them. Like eventually I started wanting to try to like hit boxes on my snowboard, and my dad would like also film that, and we'd make little edits of it, and it became a fun thing to do together. And I just started getting a little better, but Bridger Bowls Park was like the same every single year. Eventually in high school, they have like a pass at Big Sky where if you have a 3.0, you can get like a discount. So then we could finally afford a Big Sky pass because their park was so much better. So in high school, I started riding at Big Sky and just chasing around these boys that were on, it's called the Bridger Free Ski Team, and freestyle, whatever. I don't know. I just chased them all around. My dad was like friends with the coaches. They were just like college kids. And I don't know. I tried to ride the park and like go off jumps and try it all with them. And it was fun. I like always wished that I could have been on the team, but we just didn't really have any money. So I just chased them around, and it was fun. And eventually, I guess, like I had no snowboard influences really. Like my dad would do butter 180s on the groomer, but eventually Hero's son and like a group of his friends moved to Bozeman to go to college, and like they became the first snowboarders I started watching. I remember one morning we pulled up to Big Sky and right up next to Hero's truck, and like all his friends, my dad's like, oh, it's Hero's son. And he's also like one of the only Asians in Bozeman. So we'd always be like, he's the steezy Asian snowboarder skater guy. Like, let's go. And yeah, we pulled up next to their truck, and Hero's like opening the door, sticking his head out, throwing up out the door. And I'm like 10 years old. My dad's like, Hero got too drunk. Like, I was like, oh my God.
Hero. Legend.
Yeah, so Hero was like my first snowboard inspiration. And I'd watch him, and he was so steezy. Like, it was sick. Sophomore year, COVID happened, and I just started dating this guy, Carson. And he was like part of the ski group that I followed around a bunch, and he was into skiing. He wanted to be a pro skier. He actually started snowboarding when he was a little kid and got invited to the Peanut Butter Rail Jam at Mammoth, and he like couldn't jump on any of the features. He was too small, so he started skiing. But he was serious about it. He eventually did go to the Wendell's Academy when we were juniors in high school, and then I like went out with his mom and visited him, and this was kind of my first time snowboarding outside of Montana. And at Mount Hood, I saw Sierra and Maddie Monty and was like, oh my God, there's girls snowboarding. Like, let's go. I would kind of like nonchalantly follow them around and like try to do what they were doing. And then eventually like kind of started following more girls on Instagram, like Jill and Grace Warner, and I was just like kind of starting to realize that there's this whole like snowboard thing that's happening from like seeing that school for one and riding at Mount Hood. And it was like, I had snowboarded for fun with my dad all my life, and it was awesome. But like, I didn't realize that it was like a a big, huge thing, I guess. Like, I knew people did, like, the Olympics and stuff, but that was so, like, unattainable for me that I was just like, I just do this for fun. So I guess that's kind of when, like, a shift happened, when I, like, started visiting him out at Hood and, like, asserting myself into the industry a little bit more. I didn't even really realize what I was doing at the time, but I was like, this is just fun and cool. So I wasn't just with the skiers anymore.
So you just covered such like a large amount of time from like 10 to 17. I guess like I'm curious about your exposure to, you know, seeing other girls in the industry, seeing other people snowboard was through social media. Your dad was out there filming you. Y'all were making little edits. Like, what videos did you see at like growing up, or like was that a part of your exposure to snowboarding? Like, did you see videos?
My dad would show me like Travis Rice videos of him riding like insane lines, and also like Candied Thovex doing the like ultimate, like the amazing run, like the longest run ever, and he does like all the crazy stuff in one line. But that's like pretty much all I saw. I mean, I knew of like Jamie Anderson doing the Olympics, but I definitely had not watched street snowboarding videos growing up.
Fascinating.
It's amazing.
I find it insane only because of the way that you ride and like just like how you're showing up right now. Like, I think in the culture, like snowboarding, people are so influenced by the things that we're exposed to, you know, where it's like for me, like I would watch a video grass and I would be like, oh my God, like I want to be like Jake O.E. And then that would like make me in a way, like not really copy it to a T, but like that was the influence. So it is so cool to see how far you've come without having that exposure, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was kind of crazy. I know when I first started doing it, people were shocked. I hadn't watched a lot of the videos.
So we're talking about the arc of your career here, and it's fascinating. And before we move on and keep going into really the rise of Iris Pham, is there anything else you want to cover in regards to growing up in Montana and what that looked like and everything?
Yeah, growing up in Bozeman was awesome. I just told you guys all about our camping and skating and biking around and all of that, and I loved it. I guess there's just like behind the scenes of life that's important to talk about, so I want to, and I'm just going to start like kind of from the beginning. So my mom's life was kind of traumatic. Her mom died of ovarian cancer when she was 12 years old, and her family like struggled from that. Her dad like had a hard time dealing with it, which I think in turn had a hard time of my mom getting support. So she turned to alcohol and also like hanging out with the wrong people. And that just kind of set her on this path that like wasn't the greatest. And then she met my dad. They like went to Montana. It was a beautiful place, and they wanted to kind of like start a new life. And then they had me, which is awesome. And they were just in it. Like, they're young and they have a new kid, and it's kind of crazy. Like I said, when we went to Michigan when I was younger, I think a hectic time happened, and that's why they went there, to try to like get some support. And then we came back to Montana, and then we're here, and I'm snowboarding, and that's fun and stuff. But I guess the first major thing that kind of happened that made me realize that it's like kind of unnormal was my mom went to a rehab in Seattle for a month when I was in 3rd grade. And at the time, my dad was like mad at the situation, I think. And so him and I weren't in a good place. So I was like, I'd rather not live with him. So my mom's friend during that month like took care of me. And this was just kind of like, I'm saying this because it's like the first moment of like displacement, kind of me not like living in a house with both my parents, and like it's just different. It's like what didn't feel normal. And then in 4th grade, so my mom is back from the rehab. She was sober for 2 years during this period, and then so in 4th grade she got breast cancer, and she was scared because of what happened to her mom, and like it's been kind of like like her grandma died from cancer, her grandma's grandma, like it's been a path. So she's scared. And she had to get chemotherapy. I went with her for all of the sessions. I would always skip school and sit, and we'd like do art, or I don't know, just sit there. And after her first one, eventually she like got home and took a shower, and all of her hair fell out, and like she was so sad, and like it was just like a really weird, scary, sad moment. And like I think that they were also kind of trying to like hide the situation from me a little to not scare me. But she ended up getting a double mastectomy, and then also getting her ovaries removed just to prevent anything. And so that's just a really big moment, like a hard thing that happened. And then I think during that time, my parents were like struggling with their relationship. So there's like a lot of fighting going on and just like bad. So eventually we move out of the house that we had lived in all through elementary school. And it's just, my parents decided to separate and we moved to this duplex. And I think this is kind of when my mom starts drinking again. So it's like 2 years past. She decides to take me and my little brother to Michigan. I'm in 5th grade, so I get pulled out of school. I tell all my friends I'm moving to Michigan. And my mom, we drive. We drive from Montana to Michigan. It's like 25 hours. We loaded up everything from our house, like moved out. It felt like we were moving to Michigan. And not even like 2 days later, we're in Michigan, and like these like government people are trying to serve my mom these papers to order her to get us back to Montana within 48 hours. And so we're like hiding from these people because my mom doesn't want to go back. Like she's trying to get a break, honestly. Like we're hiding. I don't know. It just feels crazy. It was like a month that we're like hiding out, kind of like away from these papers. And then, and my dad's like in Bozeman, like losing it, like trying to get us back. Like it was a hectic situation. And eventually my dad got temporary custody and was ordered to come drive to Michigan and pick us up. It happened to be my 11th birthday. So we just had celebrated with my grandma at her house, and I blew out my candles. I remember we had like ones that would not stop, like you blow them and they're going crazy, and like my grandma's like thinking the house is gonna start on fire. Like we had a good birthday. I remember it being special. But then that same night, my mom, like we drove to like some restaurant, like Wendy's or something, and that's when my dad was gonna meet us there, and we got in his car and started going back to Montana, and it just felt like crazy. And also I remember right when we got in his car, we got on the interstate and hit a deer right away, like smoked it. It was like all up on the hood and on the windshield, and it was just like hectic time. I'm like, bye, Mom. Okay, now we're in the car going back to Montana. Like, so we're going back home. And that kind of felt good. It was like not nice hiding in Michigan. And my dad made like a fun skate park trip out of it. We like hit a bunch of skate parks in Minnesota and Wisconsin and like North or South Dakota. And I remember it being really fun, like coming back home. So that's kind of like a crazy turn from like a really hectic moment and not normal and dealing with like child protective service people. But we made it back. My dad at the time was working at a concrete company that his like friend owned. He had known his friend because they like went kayaking together. So his friend like let him rent out a room in his house. So that's like where my dad was living. So when we got back to Montana, that's like where we went back to. So it was me, my little brother, and I all living in one bedroom. It was good. I started going back to school. It was kind of weird at first, like being back and being like, yep, now I'm back in Montana. We didn't move to Michigan. Like it's just weird. Like it wasn't normal. But yeah, it felt nice being back. Like I remember I did band class. I played the trumpet. Like I was a 5th grader. It was good. I snowboarded. I'm home back in Montana. And then in the summer, I was skateboarding at Big Sky and was doing like a spine transfer, like airing over it. And like I was doing good at it. It was like my sickest trick I could do. And then one of the times my leg just slipped off wrong and like kind of smacked my knee down, and I broke my tibia and fibia. So now I have a full leg cast from like my hip to my toes for like 4 months, and we're still living in the one room. So like now I need the whole bed to myself. Like it just made the living situation like a little harder. And I guess I should say during all this time when we went back to Montana and like we're back, my mom was still in Michigan because she got a DUI while we were there, so she was dealing with that. So we just didn't have her during that time, and now we're with my dad. Eventually then, it's like I don't know how much time, a year later, she came back, and I'm like skipping a little bit, but eventually my parents kind of like, I think they would do this, like try to be together again, mostly because of money. I think it like made more sense for them if they could be kosher and have a relationship. They could rent a place together, and we don't have to like pay for 2 places to live. Like, so I think that's kind of why they were doing this. So now we're in 6th grade. I started a new school. I go to Chief Joseph Middle School, and only 3 of my friends from 3 kids from my class in elementary school switched over. So I had to make it like a lot of new friends, and I like started going to a youth group, made a lot of friends, and like had some guidance kind of from like the counselors. It was like nice to have people to talk to a little bit. So like life is kind of good. I'm going to school and have friends and going to the youth group. And then my parents like start to fight more now that we're living together again. And this is when I realized that like alcohol is the problem. And I remember one time sitting on my bed like losing it. I was like, I hate alcohol. I was like screaming it so much. Like this is when I kind of just was like, I hate alcohol. Like it was like a moment for me. And then eventually my parents were like fighting whatever. And somehow my mom got a restraining order against my dad. And then, so we couldn't see him. And it's sad. And then I know that she's drinking and I hate it. And I would ask her if she's drinking and she would lie about it. And I knew she would like hide it in the closet and like whatever. So I'd go find it and be like, you're lying, and like pour it out. And like, I'm like 13, like trying to get my mom to stop drinking. And like, it was kind of hard. It was really hard. And like, I also kind of didn't understand alcoholism at the time. So I was like, she's choosing to do this and she doesn't love me. Like, this is why she's doing it. Or like, she doesn't care. And like, I started to really like get sad and like kind of want to like give up. I was like, this is so hard. Like I can't see my dad. My mom is not okay. Like then eventually my mom was going to buy a car from her dad. So she got like situated. Like the CPS people told her we could stay at this family's house that we were kind of friends with while she went to Michigan to get the car. And then because we couldn't be with my dad at the time. So we're staying with this family and she flies to Michigan to get the car and she's driving it back. And then she ended up totaling the car on the way back, getting a DUI. So she's in jail. We have a restraining order against my dad. So we end up living with the family for like 3 months. So I just called them like our foster parents. Like I don't know. It was interesting and really weird. And like, so this is another moment of displacement, like kind of, and also just moving. Like, I guess maybe throughout this, you guys could notice we've like moved like a lot. My dad eventually gets that stuff cleared and he gets custody of us and he started renting this house that he still lives in now. It's like this house is awesome because we've never had a house for this long. So I'm really, I love it. And so we moved in there. It was in the different like zone of Bozeman. So I had to switch middle schools. So I started going to the other middle school and that's where like all my friends from elementary school went. So I was pretty stoked to be back with them and like making new friends again and whatever, like life's good again. From the DUI my mom got when she totaled the car, she had to go to like a prison rehab place for a year. So I'm in 8th grade and she's there and she would write us letters and like drawings and stuff. And like before she got sent to the place, she was in the jail in Bozeman. So we went and visited her through the glass with the phone and said hi. And it's weird. Like it's just an experience that was something that kind of traumatized me. Like it's so sad to see your parent in there and you're just like, I just wish that you could be here with me. But and it's like so hard to say, but it's important to me because those were like things I had to kind of really work through to be okay after all of this. It like really affected me. Okay, so now it's just kind of me. I'm just like, I'm going to just live. That's what I need to do. I like started working out a lot and like playing basketball. In freshman year, I made the freshman A team and there was this girl, Allie McGargle. We were really good friends and we were freaking ballers. We loved playing basketball. It was fun. And it was like a really good year. And that was fun. I was just like taking care of myself, I feel like. And I also went to youth group at a new youth group this time. And there was this girl, Kenya, who was like a big guide to me. Like I could always talk to her about everything. She like really helped me. So that was nice. I'm kind of navigating, like getting okay after all this. Cause like at a point I really did feel like so consumed and like giving up. I was like, how am I going to get past this? Like, this is so bad, but I'm getting there. And then I like also started kind of working around this time. I like did a cleaning job and I started working at this place called Wasabi. It was like a hibachi restaurant. Like I was kind of growing up and like, okay, I'm going to work and do sports and do my school. And that was good. Sophomore year, I made the sophomore team instead of making JV for basketball. And that was like kind of a bummer because Allie made the good team, so I wasn't with her anymore. And eventually I started realizing that basketball was like taking a lot of my snowboard time. We like had a game every Saturday, so I could only snowboard on Sundays. So I like decided I wanted to quit basketball. And it was like during the middle of the season, and I felt really bad about it because they always said like not to quit because you're taking like someone else's spot. So it was like a big decision I felt like I had to make. And eventually I remember asking this girl, like she was the cashier at the Hungry Moose. It's like a little grocery store at Big Sky in the like lodge. And I was like telling her, I was like, what should I do? She told me to do what makes me happy. And that was like, okay, I think that this is going to make me happy. So I like made a meeting and quit basketball in the middle of the season. And like, that was a kind of a, like I know we talked about the Y East and Mount Hood like shift of deciding to be a snowboarder, but that was also kind of one where I was like, okay, I can't play basketball anymore. Like I'm honestly not even that good at this. Like snowboarding has more potential for me. So yeah, I just started snowboarding more. Okay, and then COVID happened. So now we're kind of caught back up. Carson started going to Y East. I started visiting him. We talked about it a little earlier, but yeah, that's when I just kind of like distanced from my parents almost and like just wanted to live a fun life. Like I think that I had a lot of like barriers up because of how I was raised. Like I just was like trying to survive. One, like I couldn't even focus on like all these fun things that I could potentially be doing. And two, I like didn't think we had enough money for me to ever be able to go to like a summer camp or like a school like that, or I don't know, just anything. So it was just kind of like out of my mind. But then I think being with him and going to the school and like, I just realized, it opened my mind. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. His family has a house in Big Sky, so we lived there and snowboarded and did online school all of senior year. And that was nice because Big Sky's like an hour from Bozeman, so we were way closer. And then eventually we wanted to go to Hood, and his car was kind of breaking, and his mom was like, how are you going to get there? And she suggested like getting a van. Long story short, she ended up buying a van and dropped it off with us, and we wanted to leave for Hood the next day, so we just threw some pallets in and a bed and left for Hood the next day. And we got out there and we were riding, and it was freaking awesome. And then we ended up I saw Sam Klein and Emily O'Connor's van in the parking lot, and like I had followed Never Summer. I've always ridden Never Summer boards. My dad like got me a demo one off eBay one day, and I liked it. So now I've just always ridden the Infinity. It's kind of funny, but yeah. So I saw them and was like, I want them to see my snowboard. And like Carson was kind of scoping for me too, and we were like, oh my God, they're down there hiking a rail. Like, let's go. So we like go down there. I had already hiked the rail earlier in the day and done the trick I wanted to on it, but we just like started hitting it, and right away Emily was like, what board is that? And then we like kind of started talking, and it was awesome. I was really stoked to have like gotten their attention. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I just was like, I want them to see my board. And then also Never Summer at the time had posted something like this same day, like a video of people, like all their riders in like order, and they were like free board, like we're giving out a free board for whoever can like list all of the riders in the video like in order. So I went like crazy Instagram stalking mode because like I needed a snowboard. So I like found all the people and listed it, and they're like, you're like the closest anyone's gotten, you're like one away. And so I like figured out who it was. So I was already in for getting one board, which was sick. But then I guess like Sam and Emily had probably just told them about me at the same time. So they were like, we want to talk to you. So that was the start. Like they started sending me boards, and I was so stoked because I had like tagged them in Instagram posts, like the ones me and my dad made, but nothing ever came of it. So I just was like, I do this for fun. But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a free snowboard. Like so stoked. Eventually they wanted to send me on a trip to Troll. That's when I met you. And I couldn't go at first because I was working to pay for a car. And they were like, how much is your car payment? It was $400 a month. So they were like, we'll pay that if you can stop working, and then you can start coming on like the trips we want to send you on. So I quit the cleaning and went to Trollhagen. Had never snowboard rope toes or like seen much of the streets. Like I'd seen people at Hood now, but not much of it yet still. And I ended up posting a video from Trollhagen, and it went kind of crazy. It was like one of my most liked videos. Like I was stoked, and a lot of people like reached out after that, like a lot of companies and just people were stoked. And I think also from that came an invite from Joe Sexton to go to the heavy metal in Duluth. And I was like mind blown. I couldn't believe I was getting invited to a Red Bull event. Like it was something I never thought I would do. And also I've only ever competed. It was like a Bridger Bowl terrain park jam. There was no girls. It was like always I'd go against the boys. I did it like twice. So that's like the only competing in snowboarding that I had under me. And the picture of the kink rail was big. I was like, I've never hit a street rail. I'm like, I guess I'll go. And Sam Klein was like the biggest guide for me during this. Like I stayed with them the night before the event. We went and checked it out, and I was like, oh my God, this is so big. Like, and we watched the 1817 video. I'd never watched any video, so that's like the first video. And someone in the video hit the kink rail. That's like what I wanted to see the most. And so I was like, okay, you can do it. Like someone did it. And then we got there. I don't know. I was freaking out in the morning. I didn't even realize how we had to like jump out of the big window thing first. I was like only thinking about the kink rail. So we got there. I was like, oh my God, big window. Here we go. Like it was crazy. I'd never met anyone before really, other than now Hood, Troll, and now we're here. Like I remember Jalen Hansen was like really kind to me, and we kind of like hung out a lot of it throughout it. And that was really nice to have someone who was like, seemed like my age and was welcoming to me. And like, we probably both felt uncomfortable. Like we don't know anybody. And then eventually when we got to the kink rail part, Jessica Mira came up and was like, you guys don't have to hit it. Like only do it if you feel like it. Like just letting us know, which felt good. But we saw Jib Girl jump on and we were like, oh my God, let's go. Like, Jalen was like, I'm just going to walk up there and put my snowboard on. And I was like, really? And so then I followed her and we put our snowboards on, and then Jalen jumped on the rail, and I was like, I blacked out and jumped on the rail. Like I was just like so scared. And then it was fine. He just kind of fell off to the side. And then we tried a bunch again, and Jalen like literally greased the whole thing so perfect and then couldn't land. And then I like almost made it to the end, just missed the last little flat. So that was just a special moment, like big moment too. Like I remember Stan interviewed me too. I had no idea who he was, and I was just like so juiced. I looked crazy in it. It was funny. And then I also remember that day I met Jeremy Jones, Street Jeremy Jones, and I had no idea who he was. And Emily afterwards was like, dude, you just met Jeremy Jones, like so sick. I was like, really? Like, I don't know. It was cool. So I guess that's been something that's been fun about me not knowing about everything, is that like when I meet everyone, I feel kind of like it's genuine. It's like, I don't know you. What's your name? Mm-hmm. Pretty freaking cool. It's like, and I guess that's something I could also say though, is that like, and when I do know someone like Jill, like I followed her on Instagram, and like the first time I saw her in person was at Hood at It's Tits, and like I was like, we were kind of in the same flow of hiking the same thing, and I was like just right behind her, like being so weird, like not saying anything. So and like eventually she introduced herself, and that was really nice. But I do think it's like helped me not knowing people and like what's gone on, maybe, because then I'm not as nervous. I don't know. I do get kind of weird when I like know. Like not anymore, especially. I've gotten more comfortable, but at first I was just like, wow, here are all these people. But yeah, so the first heavy metal was like the start.
Wow. Well, first of all, holy shit. A lot to unpack there. That was incredible. I mean, it's like an against all odds story too, you know? Like the odds would say that you're not supposed to, like the odds for you to make it as a pro snowboarder, I just am realizing now how, like, good job. You're doing great. A. B, seeing you at Red Bull Heavy Metal and realizing where you had been before that, because I announced that event, and I remember you were fucking killing it. But it's crazy that you were just like, I'm here, I'm Iris. I was just like, oh, Iris she's shredding. Like she's one of the dogs, you know? And it's really cool to hear the backstory that was your first contest.
Yeah.
Just got in there with the big dogs and let it eat. That was cool. Wow.
Yeah, I think there's something to say here about, especially over the course of like the last 5 years with a couple of like the up and coming girls, they just fucking popped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Iris is a great example of that. A lot of things make a lot more sense. And then to piggyback off of Chris, Yeah, the way, like, seeing you a troll, seeing you get directly into heavy metal. Also, seeing the girls just hit that kink, you know? Like,
Gnar.
I eyed up that kink. You couldn't pay me to jump on it. It takes them to make, all right, cool, let's set up a contest, and this is the main feature in the contest. And I'm like, all right, cool. Glass ceiling once again shattered just because of the way something was presented. And I remember seeing y'all hit that rail that day, and I was just like, well, we are in a new era. Very cool, like insanely cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of was the start too of like the street snowboarding and me wanting to do it. I was like, wow, that was fun. And they're like the group of skiers I started following around. They all just graduated college this year, just to put like it all into perspective. But they started a film crew called Entourage, and this year they put out their 4th like movie. And Jack Price is like the kind of starter, or like he films and he edits it all and keeps it all together and schedules the premieres and stuff. And he believed in me, and they kind of helped me. And I joined a trip with them last year to Minnesota, and we like hit my first street rails. And I didn't know what I was doing at all, and it was definitely different, like filming with them. And I realized that more now, filming with snowboarders, but like filming with skiers is just different. And so they were kind of like putting me on spots that I probably wouldn't pick anymore. And I'm just like, it was new, and like I didn't know what I was doing at all, and neither did they really. And we were all just kind of like filming each other and like messing up, and I don't know, it was learning, and it's fun. And I'm so grateful for all those boys. Like they helped me so much last year, and I was like, I want to film, and they helped me. And then I guess also last year I filmed with Sam Klein and Emily O'Connor and Connor Carroll in Milwaukee. And then I kind of just gathered all those clips together and put out my first street part last year with Slush Magazine. And I guess to kind of full circle moment, one of the clips in there is the Cascade Rail, which Jalen also got a clip on in her first street part this past year. So it's like, I think that's really special that we both...
The rail from heavy metal, for people that are listening that don't know the Cascade.
And to clarify, your first spot that you ever hit.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah.
Hell of a first spot. I find, the experience with the skier is pretty fascinating too, because it goes hand in hand kind of with your upbringing and your experience, where it's just like, you're kind of working with what you got.
I always, yeah. And they're awesome. Like, the boys are awesome. I love those boys. Some of them, like, they're like my brothers. I don't know. It's been special. Like, from me being the annoying little girl who would always follow them around to them being like, wow, Iris, like, you can do this. Like, go 360 off that rail. Like, try this. Like, I remember one of my homies, Daniel Johnson, he was like, you could go to Dew Tour. Like, I know you can. He, like, said it, and I was like, that's so, like, far out. Like, I don't know. And now I've gone. Like, it's crazy. Like, they believed in me before I did, and so did my dad. And, like, they all pushed me to this point where now I believe in myself, and it's pretty crazy, but I needed them to get me there. So shout out Entourage.
Yeah, and I feel like even that goes back to, like, after knowing about your life experience, everything collectively once again makes more sense. It makes sense why you showed up and have worked so hard and have, kind of really just dove into the experience of, like, I don't know, I guess too, a lot of people don't really understand how hard it is to become a professional snowboarder, especially whenever you are focused on street riding. I think it's a little bit slower. I think it's different. I think it's based on your resources. And, like, out the gates, like, you have 100% shown up. And like I said it earlier in the podcast, like, I am so impressed in the ways in which you present yourself, and just kind of like, also your can-do positive fucking attitude. It's incredible to me.
Yeah, that's something I think, like, I have to watch it. Sometimes I'm like, am I being too happy? Like, chill out, Iris. Like, I think it is a way that sometimes I, like, just be because I want to be happy. Sometimes I'm not, and I'm just like, I'm so happy. Like, so I do have to be, like, in check with myself. But I like being happy. It feels good.
And another the thing that keeps going through my head too is like, some people might say like skateboarding saved my life, snowboarding saved my life, but hearing your backstory, I think that you could legitimately say that maybe snowboarding saved your life, and not in a sense of it like physically saved your life, but in a sense that like we need hope to survive. It's like a key, and you really, you notice it a lot more when your back's against the wall, but you need something to believe in. You need something to provide hope for making things better. And I think the beautiful thing about snowboarding for a lot of stories is like snowboarding was the thing that provided that hope. And I feel as though listening to your story, can you relate to that? Do you feel like that's accurate?
Definitely. It was a big thing that was just like, this is an awesome thing in my life. And it like always was, because there was a lot of inconsistency. So it's like, I can go snowboard with these friends and it's going to be fun. And so that was awesome. And the skateboard also was a good coping device. I remember one time I got so mad one time and went on my skateboard and went and ollied off a 5-stair for my first time. And it was like, "Argh!" And it felt so good. I was like, that's such a good way to just get it out. Like, feels good.
100%. And I've always believed that the skate park is just as sacred as a church, or maybe more so, in the sense that if you don't like your home environment, you have a place to go.
Yeah.
You have a place to go, let out some wiggles and move around and forget about what's going on for a little bit. Same with snowboarding. It provides the same experience.
Definitely, for sure. I guess this makes me think of something. When I moved from my mom's house to Carson's house, I was like really sad and like kind of isolating for a couple months. And then I finally decided to go to the skate park, and I like was just cruising around. There was this guy who said like hi, and we started talking, and he's like, what's like up with your life? And I was like, I'm about to graduate high school. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, most of my friends are about to go to college, and like there was no like college fund set up for me or nothing. Like, I had always thought of college, but I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And like, didn't feel like that was what I was going to choose. I was like, I should just start working. Like, I don't know, start doing something. But I also said, like, maybe I'll go work at High Cascade. Like, I don't know. That's what I've heard a lot of snowboarders do. Like, I started listening to the Bomb Hole eventually, and that's what I heard a lot of people say. I was like, shit, High Cascade, let's go. And he told me about this girl. Her name's Jaden Hummel. She used to work at High Cascade, but she became a life coach. And I was like, whoa. He was like, you should talk to her. So I like followed her and messaged her, and she was willing to do like a free like 30-minute or hour like call with me. And I kind of told her all about my life and what's happened and like how I was feeling in this moment, and how I was like, I like feel like I should be going to college. All of my friends are, but like I don't want to do that. And she was like, it seems like you found like what you love, and like people go to college to like kind of find their path, and that's great if they need that. But she was like, I just feel like you know what you love. Like, if you just keep following that and doing it and like following your heart, like it's going to bring everything you need. Like, and you're going to be able to help people in the way you want. And it like, she just made me like really trust the decision of deciding to just try to snowboard. And like, that's when I decided, like, okay, I'm just done. Like, I was like registering for all these different colleges and stuff. It's like the time of the year when you're supposed to be doing that. And that's when I just stopped. I was like, all right, I'm not going. Like, and I'm going to snowboard. I don't know. It was like a really crazy moment. But that's something I'll never forget, is talking to her, and like how I like talked to the guy at the skate park, and then he told me. And it was in this moment where I'm like crazy isolating myself. And then I'm like, wow, here we go. Like, there's this world and this life that I can live, and like it's going to be fun.
All right, we're going to talk to you guys about some speakers. I'm a big fan of these speakers. We're talking Turtlebox, and they deliver the best sounding, most durable, portable speakers available. Let me tell you, you can put these things through the ringer. So the Turtlebox Gen 2 portable speaker is 100% waterproof while boasting best-in-class audio and up to 20 plus hours of playtime. You don't need to charge it. You can be slapping tunes for 20 hours. As a plus, you can pair multiple Turtlebox speakers together at the same time to enjoy a true AB surround sound experience. Simply put, the Turtlebox is an extremely fun product designed for days at the mountain, on the water, in the backyard, and everywhere in between. To learn more, check out turtleboxaudio.com and get yourself that Gen 2 portable speaker. It's a great product. Slap some tunes, have some good times with your friends. All right, we're going to get into a section of the show called Run Through a Wall Trivia, presented by Run Through a Wall.
Welcome to Run Through a Wall Trivia.
You're fired.
All right, so the concept of the show, we have a bunch of trivia questions all over the board. Some Montana, some snowboarding, some randomness. Des will count you down 5 seconds. You got 5 seconds to answer. If you don't know the answer, you got to do a smelling salt.
Okay.
If you're down, you don't have to. You can choose to.
Okay.
Yeah. Just want to be for legal purposes. You don't have to. Okay.
Have to do it.
First question. What is the capital of Montana?
Helena.
That's correct.
Less than a second in.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
You can hit again if you know it. The buzzer. Yeah, the buzzer's good. Okay, true or false? In Montana, the elk, deer, and antelope populations outnumber the humans.
5, 4.
True.
That's correct. Woo. 2 for 2. Okay, question number 3. What year did Desiree win Rider of the Year?
5, 4.
2003. How old were you?
Weren't you born in 2003?
Yeah.
2003.
When was it?
2014.
So close.
Sorry.
I like that answer.
Oh, wait,
though.
I got to hit it now.
No, you got to break it.
Oh.
So just like it's a capsule in there, so just crack it. There it is.
Oh, my God.
She loves them.
Oh, my God. It smells like bleach.
They smell great. They smell really good. They smell really good.
Yep.
Okay, next question. What is Jess Kimura's board sponsor?
5.
Capita.
That's correct. Name a pro snowboarder from Montana.
5.
Melissa Rattano.
Correct. I was going to do name 3, but we'll do name 1. Okay, what is the name of Anna Gasser's most recent video project?
5, 4, 3.
I don't know. Phone a friend.
Des?
I think it was Schnitzel time.
That's correct.
Wow.
All right,
Good
that was a
job.
lifeline. Schnitzel
Yay.
time. That's correct. Okay, who announced the live stream for the Uninvited Invitational?
5,
You.
4.
Well, I did live to audience. The live
Mark
stream.
McMorris and Dara.
Close.
Craig McMorris.
There it is. Well, that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
We'll count it.
Yep. What is the elevation of Big Sky's Lone Peak?
5,
11,400.
11,100.
Wow.
Pretty close.
It's pretty
I
close.
think that counts.
Yeah, I was gonna say 11,000 would be like acceptable, but 11,000, we'll take it. What do you think, Silk? You make the call.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
good.
You know
It's
what?
pretty close.
I'll do a salt for that one
Way to go.
I'll join you.
because I haven't done one in 5 seconds. So
Oh, my.
That's good.
okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Old one still hidden.
Okay, next question. Name a snowboarder. Name a pro snowboarder with webbed feet.
5, 4,
Webbed?
Webbed feet. Yep.
2, 1.
I don't know.
Curtis Cizek.
Yeah, I was gonna be like Kurt Dog. Did you do that just so you could say Kurt's name?
I just wanted to make fun of Curtis Cizek. Yes, Curtis Cizek has a web toe. He's got a web toe.
Okay.
Technically, you kind of have to do a salt for not getting that
This
right.
one's for
Technically,
Curtis.
Do you know who Curtis Cizek is?
Does he used to live on a boat?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to Baldface with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Nice.
he's awesome.
Yep, he has web feet. So
Okay.
bring it up next time you see him.
Really want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Who recently got the cover of Garage Magazine?
5,
Kennedy Deck.
That's correct. Which 2 riders won the natural selection this year?
4, 3.
Zoe. I don't know.
Mikey Cicerelli and Marion Haerdy.
Ah, dang it.
One more salt for the. That's it. Those are all the questions
Not bad.
in Run Through a Wall Trivia. I think you went. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4,
Ooh.
5, 6, 7.
I kind of like it now.
I'm
They
like
growing
kind of
on ya.
respect for the freshies every
Yeah,
time. Like
yeah.
usually you like.
Oh, I'm supposed to smell the one.
No, you want to
No.
pop
No,
a fresh.
you're doing great.
pop a
You're
fresh.
doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I'll keep it.
Did you see the the like
Yeah, we got a
graveyard
pile.
of smelling salts over here?
Why do they turn red?
Chemicals.
That's-
Ammonia interacting with
It's the all the organic
Oxygen.
all
Yeah.
the organic
Yeah.
chemicals molding
Yeah.
together.
Super good for you.
It's coagulation. It's a coagulation situation. I don't know the answer to that.
Can you define coagulate?
Coagulation? Yeah, it's like when you cook bacon grease and then it becomes like from liquid to solid. That's coagulation.
Silk?
I would say coagulation if you were to when a
sounded good.
liquid item becomes solid, it coagulates.
So does water coagulate when it becomes ice?
I don't think so.
I don't know the answer to that.
Is that different?
I think that's different.
It could. I think that's a form of coagulation. I would say. I would say
If anyone's to say, it's you.
coagulation specialist. All right. We got a guest question. Let's fire one of these bad Larrys up. And this one is from Jess Kimura, if I can find it.
All right, it's Jess here with a guest question for Iris. Iris, you are so good at so many things. I was wondering if you weren't able to be a pro snowboarder and you had to pick another sport to pursue for a pro career, which would that be? Hope you guys are having fun, and I can't wait to listen when it comes out.
Aw, thank you, Jess. That's a good question. Maybe like mountain biking realistically, I think, is like something that I'm next best at. It'd be kind of scary because it's like gnarly. And like there's like downhill mountain bike racing, which like I don't really know if I would want to do that more so. Like I'd probably still do it in like the jibbing aspect where I'd find like I really like biking on like the ladder bridges and like having a balance. At Big Sky there's one that goes like over a pond. Like I love doing that one and like dropping off the ladder bridges. So I think I'm better at mountain biking out of everything else that I do.
Did you ever race or anything?
No. It was just like a thing I started doing with my friend growing up, and then like my dad would take me to, it's called Painted Hills. It's like on the side of Bozeman, and we'd just bike around. It was just another thing that was fun. Yeah, never too serious. And also it's like definitely gnarly if you fall, so we kept it pretty safe, especially after one time I sent a jump too big to flat and just kind of exploded and flew and got like a really big gash on my arm and like on my hip. And my dad after that was like, he bought me all this protective like gear, and it was a little more serious. It's like, okay, if you're going to start sending on your bike, like you would have to be dialed. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
You get bodied when you go down on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I wanted to talk about you put out your part this year, and then it was Ender and Wild Game as well. And one of the things that stood out to me in that is I feel like you're in a pretty small club of female snowboarders to front board a street kink. I think it's a pretty exclusive. You're an exclusive membership package. I would love to hear you talk about that clip.
Yeah. I was with Sam Klein, Emily O'Connor, and Connor Carroll. We had just got to Milwaukee, and we scoped for like the first day, just looked at like all the potential spots we could hit, and that was one that felt safe. And so we went there first, and I just like knew I could front board it. I actually had never really front boarded. I had front boarded a couple like kink rails that were really mellow kinks like in the park, but never one that aggressive. So it was definitely like, at first I hopped on and would just kind of sag off and was being like soft about it. And I had to be like, you have to fully get on. Like, and eventually it got it, and I landed it really nice. Like I felt so stoked about the clip. So that was a really good, fun day. And I guess a part of it too is there was like these security guards that were like, you guys can't be here. Like, but we made this big drop-in pile, and we were like, well, can we play on our pile that we made? Like we just won't hit the rail. So then every time they'd drive around like every hour, and we kept like hiking up to the hill and just like going down on our stomachs and stuff, like acting like we were just playing on the hill. So that
like you're 6 years old?
Yeah, exactly. Like we were like, we're just having fun on our hill, and then they'd leave to go do their round again, and we could finally like try again. So there was definitely a struggle in that spot of like looking for those people that kept trying to get us out of there.
Sweet. You like the process of filming and like evading security guards and all that?
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was also like my first time filming with Sam, and like just first day of that trip. So it was just like,
that was day one?
Yeah.
Dropping a heater.
It's like, let's see how this goes. And then we got that clip, and I was like, let's go. Yeah, that was really stoked about that.
Did Sam do that crazy board slide drop on that trip?
No.
Okay, that clip's
I wasn't with him
insane.
during that. Yeah.
That was wild. And then you 50'd that gigantic kink that I think is in Salt Lake. That's your ender, right? Is that in
The
Salt Lake?
black, no, that's also in Milwaukee.
Oh, that is the square bar?
I think it's Cole Navin. Like, he hit the top part and
Yep.
gap. Like, he did the whole entire thing. And so Sam knew about that rail. Sam had also hit that rail before. And we scoped that on the first day we got there, too. And I was like, wow, this one's big. Like, but one of the days we just went there and he was like, you should just try.
Were you shook or did you?
It was like a little easier than I thought, honestly. Like, I was nervous to jump on. I like dropped in a couple times and didn't hit it and was like, stop being a bitch. Like, come on, jump on. And then once I was on, it's like a box. Like, it's pretty wide, so you just lock in. It was nice. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like, we differ so much from our approach to like filming in the streets, where I'll be like, oh my God, I got to get a couple like easy clips basically where it's like do my stock tricks. And I feel like with you, it's like you'll like eye shit up and be like, oh yeah, I can fucking front board this. Like I'm curious what kind of contributed to your confidence that you have in being able to like show up to a spot you have not hit very many spots and just kind of knowing that you got it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I guess just came kind of naturally. Maybe I like know how to jump off of a rail, which I think is like the first safest part is like get off. So like my scariest part when I first start like hitting a spot is just touching the rail. Like I'll drop like 5 or 10 times and not even get on, which at a point I have to be like, okay, next time you have to get on or else I'm like going to be too scared and like it's over. So I don't know. It's just like knowing that I guess I can get off and like getting that first touch of it. And then I'm like, all right, this is how you do the trick. You know how to do it. Just lock in. And like sometimes there's like a scary spot on the side. Like don't go over there. I don't know. It's like calculating it all and then just like, you got to do it.
Cool. We have a bunch of questions. I think we have a Patreon question, Silk, about her van. You for maybe provide a little context. You've lived out of your van for the past few years.
Yeah.
I loved, and let's fire up Patreon for that.
We got a question from Max Trask.
Shout out to our Patreon members. Thank you for supporting the show. We really appreciate you guys.
What is the best van setup? Pickup with camper/topper, FBI van, hatchback, and how many boards is too many for the van life?
Sick. Thank you, Max. Good question. I guess I should kind of start at the beginning. So with the boyfriend, we had the van, and after senior year of high school, we decided we wanted to build it out for real, like not just pallets in the bed, like let's do it, and then like go to Bone Zone and like try to go to Minnesota and film. And so that's what we did. We built it out the whole summer, and it was still kind of janky. Like we didn't know how to build very well. His older brother helped us a lot. He's like been kind of becoming like a contractor, so he like has more work with tools, and he let us use his tools. And so we built it and then came out here for Bone Zone. That's 2 winters ago now. And it was so fun. I started meeting everyone. I like saw Egan for the first time. I don't know, it was like sick. And then we were gonna head to Minnesota after Dogfight and just kind of try to like film street for the first time. And then Carson ended up tearing his ACL at Park City like a week before Dogfight. And that kind of just like changed everything. It was like, okay, well now you can't ski anymore. So like I just we were planning on living in the van the whole winter. Like what now? And then so he ended up getting surgery in Salt Lake. We stuck around and I did Dogfight. And like between that week, I was kind of losing it. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I don't have anywhere to live. I like set myself up to live in this van, which is his only vehicle. So like I can't just go take it. And that was also a hard thing for me, was putting so much work into that van and not being able to like have it anymore. So I like looked for other vans online. My dad helped me look on Craigslist, and like the day before Dogfight, we found this one. I hit the guy up. I was like, when I get home, I'll come test drive it. And then I ended up winning Dogfight, which was like a huge blessing. Like I needed that in that moment. And the next day we drove back to Bozeman, and I met the guy with the van and bought it. Spent all the money I had, spent all the money you guys just gave me. Like I was like, holy shit. And the van had a salvage title. It had a hole in the roof, and the auto body shop that was gonna fix the hole couldn't get it in for 3 months. So the van just sat in my dad's driveway. I didn't drive it at all. And I like went to a bunch of different events. I did like Dew Tour last year, like Soy Sauce Nation.
Red Bull Heavy Metal.
Yeah. In Detroit. That was a fun one because my family lives in Michigan. So like some of my uncles and cousins came to the Detroit Heavy Metal. That was special. Yeah.
Yep.
They'd never seen me snowboard before. So that was cool.
There's like 5,000 spectators or something. That's cool. That was probably cool for them.
Yeah. One of my little cousins like ended up with like everybody's hat. I remember Iris Jefferson like got a photo with him, and my cousin like put it on her Snapchat story. I was like, that's so cute. Like they were having an awesome time.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of traveled around last year, like no house, like staying in Airbnbs, just going to events all year until March. I got the hole in the roof fixed, but I still kept traveling. And then I brought it to this auto body shop when I finally started driving it a little more, like because the hole was fixed, and we learned that the transmission was leaking, which was like a major point where I was like, oh my God, did I just like mess up and buy this salvaged vehicle that's like broken? And it was just like I guess I like say that because it was like a point of where I had to learn how to like deal with situations where it feels like it's kind of like the end of the world, and like I want to like freak out, and like now I'm like more chill when stuff like that happens. But in that moment, I remember I was at Soy Sauce Nation. The van was at the shop. The guy who fixes it called me, and I was with Mike Yoshida, and he told me the transmission's leaking. Like I'm gonna try to figure out how to fix it. Like didn't really have a solution yet, and I had just done that road gap with Mike Yoshida. It was fun. And I was like, Mike, like, my van's bad. Like, ranting, crying, freaking out. Like, Mike's honestly been, like, a person that has stayed updated with this whole van process because it was a journey. Like, me kind of fixing it and learning how to, like, deal with mechanics who think that I'm kind of dumb and, like, don't listen to me very well. And, like, I don't know. There was just so many aspects of this thing happen. Like, me getting this van, which is, like, a dream of mine, but then it becoming, like, a project, like, biggest project of my life. So then we get the leaking transmission fixed. Awesome. And my last event of the season last year was Peace Park at Snowbird. And then I head home, and my dad's really good friend, his name's Toko. I've known him since I was a baby. He owns a company. It's called Beartooth Van Works in Bozeman. They build like super sick Sprinter vans. And when I bought the van, my dad like posted on Facebook, like, look, Iris just bought this van, like so proud of her. And Toko saw it and like offered to help me build it. And so I like took him up on it, and we started talking and planning. And then so I got home in the month of May last year. We built it for every day on the weekends, like 8 to like 6 at night. Like we were grinding, and we worked on it like May and a little into June. And then my little brother Bentley and I went to Mammoth for a month and like tested the van, like, and a new problem arose. The like CV joint was broken, so it was like wobbling the whole way we drove there. Like the van has been a process, but we got it built. Then I went home last summer and just worked a little bit and chilled. But this year I set out for like a full season in the van. Finally, like it's finally done. I have this van. It's mine. Like let's go. I headed out here for Bone Zone. I parked outside of Egan's house. Stayed here for a month. Then I like went home, got my wisdom teeth removed. Like I've driven it to Canada. I drove it to Arizona. Egan and I saw the Grand Canyon. I don't know. I've kind of taken it all over now. And it's like, it's made this winter really awesome to just kind of like have my own consistent space that's like with me. Like obviously when we go to like Japan, I can't have it, but that's like nice to kind of get a break from it in those trips. And then I come back, and like before I had the van, I felt very like on everyone else's schedule on trips. Like wake up, go to the mountain when they want to go. Like, oh, could you guys like take me to the grocery store? Like I need to go here. I don't know. It's just like, so this year I feel like I'm snowboarding a lot better and just living better because I'm like set up how I want to be.
It's like especially thinking about what you were saying earlier too with your childhood and stuff, like the search for a stable home and having a lot of inconsistencies in your stable home, like having that van as your own kind of source of independence and like a home is probably pretty comforting.
Definitely. It feels good. And I'm super grateful. My dad and I, like, he lets me keep a lot of my stuff in his shed, which is pretty cool, like my extra tires and my bike, and like I have a bunch of stuff. So that's really nice. But yeah, it's cool to have my little home with me all the time and like everything I need everywhere.
We got a guest question from Maisie about your van. Here
okay.
Hey Iris, it's Maisie. I've got some van-related questions for you. I'm just curious, what's it like living in the van and being on the road all the time? What are some advantages? What are some disadvantages? Whatever thoughts you have on what that's been like, because I know you've been doing van life for a couple years now. Second question would be, what was it like to work on your build last summer? I know that was something you worked super hard on, and I would just love to know more about that process. Can't wait to hear more. Love you lots. All right, bye.
Oh, thank you, Maisie. I love you. That was sweet. It's like so convenient. I just kind of talked about it, but it's like so nice having all my stuff with me all the time. Like, I don't know, I just don't have to think as much. I like to go in the water a lot too, and like it's nice to like always have my swimsuit and like a towel, or like, I don't know, just stuff that I need when I'm like pull up to a random zone and I'm like, this is what I want to do, and I like have what I need. I also have like shovels and a camera. Like I could hit a spot like whenever if I like had a friend. Like, I don't know, I'm like I've got my surfboard and wetsuit in there right now. Like there's a river surfing wave in Boise that I've been like looking at the webcams for. I'm like trying to go. So yeah, it makes it so that I can like live pretty sporadically and like do all these things that I want to do. In terms
of build out,
in
like
terms of the
fridge.
build, I have a fridge, I have a freezer, I have a closet and like a full size mirror. I could send you guys a video to like put a picture of it or something in there, but last year I like watched so many videos on YouTube. Like while I was on trips all the time, I'm like researching, watching how other people live, like how they like having this there and why and like whatever. Like it's nice to have your things in specific spots. So I like kind of figured out how I want my layout to look and then drew like a bunch of diagrams and pictures and then brought them to the shop. And I ordered all the stuff that I needed, like a sink and the fridge and the bed, mattress, and like a bunch of stuff you need to order, like a foot pump. Like I have like a foot pedal sink, like, and I like had to decide stuff like that too. Like if I want it to be electric or like, no, I'll keep it manual. Like there's lots of different options. And like older people I've noticed want things to be a little nicer because they are like used to a higher quality of life, where I'm like younger. So sometimes I don't need, like I can sacrifice having like a little something to just like create more space or who knows. So I just kind of had to figure out like how I want my build to look and order all this stuff and then communicate with Toko, and we planned it all, and he let me work at his shop and like use all their tools. So I had like major guidance, and I needed that. Like the van looks really good inside. Like the wood looks really proper.
Cedar ceilings or something? Is that?
There's wood. Yeah. I don't know what type of wood. It's beautiful though, and we stained it really nice. And yeah, like it looks way better than I ever thought it would look, and that's because of him. But he'd like help me measure areas, and then I'd go cut the wood and stain it and seal it and be like, okay, here's the nice piece of wood. I'm ready to put it in, and he'd help me put it in. And I had a really good time with all of them. There's 4 guys who work at the shop, and they're all like super special. We all like, one of the guys, Andy, he like specializes in like the wood, like making the wood nice. And then one of the guys is like does the wiring. One of the guys is like they all specialize in certain things. So I got to know them all differently when we were working on different parts of my van, and like it's special. Like I'll stop by the shop now, and like I have a good connection with all of them. And like Toko offered me to work at the shop this summer maybe, so that's cool. Like now I have this opportunity to maybe go like learn more. So the van ultimately has like taught me a lot about how to deal with like just pushing through and how to learn a new skill and then do it. And yeah, it feels really good. And now I'm living better too on top of it all.
I love that.
What's one thing that you thought would be like a necessity in the van, where after the first year, you're kind of like, I don't really need that anymore. Like I can change it.
Yeah. One thing, I got like a little toilet thing, and like I just have never used it, so I took it out. Like I don't need a little toilet. I just like kind of scheduled when I go to the bathroom now. Like it is something you have to do. Like in the van, you got to be kind of like making in check with yourself of like, okay, I'm about to go park like far away. Am I okay? Yeah.
Or like life hacks, like whatever. We've lived out of our cars. We're kind of recreational vehicle people. I feel like one of the big hacks is like, all right, where are the bathrooms that are like the single use bathrooms? Like closing door, it locks.
Yeah.
I'm good for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah, you like figure out.
Starbucks, yeah.
Starbucks bathroom is great to hit. But
yeah, it's funny to figure out those like little zones, especially in Bozeman. I have all these funny places I go because I'm just like, I know where I am. Even here, I used to go like poach the Evo sauna all the time. I think they changed the code now.
Sure. Evo, maybe you could hit Iris up.
Yeah,
give
come
her that
on,
code back.
give us the code back. Yeah, it's fun to live van life.
I love that. And you breezed over. You won dogfight, and I thought that That was our event. It was a triple kink, just giant kink rail. Basically, that was the contest. It was on a huge kink rail, and you were lacing the fuck out of that thing. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was fun. My dad really wanted me to like mentally prepare for that. He's like, get ready, like think about it. And so I did, and I was like, I'm gonna board slide it. Like that's all I wanted to do. It was really cool when it happened.
I feel like maybe you're with me on this, but I think you have the best board slide, nose slide in the game, because a lot of people just put them up middle of the bindings, kind of following leaf down the rail, but you like put them on nose slide and lean into them. I think it's sick.
Thank you. I don't really know why I do that. It just feels good.
Yeah, it's confident. It's a confident move. That was what was cool too when I was watching Uninvited. You front boarded the kink, and in my head I was just like, she front boarded a kink in the streets. I know she can do this. And then you did it like third tee or second tee or something. It was really cool.
Thank you.
Going back to rail jams, I have some notes about that. We had a discussion on our show about rail jams recently, and there's been some talk from FIS about maybe not this coming Olympics, but the next ones, potentially adding rail jams to the Olympics. Some people think it's bad. Some people think it's good. What are your thoughts on rail jams being an avid goer of the events?
I think that's pretty freaking crazy. I've been hearing about it a little too, mostly from Des. But it's like, I don't know, it's crazy. It's like interesting because like I feel like you'd need to get the points to get in. And like, I guess if the points could come from like heavy metal and like, I guess maybe Dew Tour could be one of them. But like, I don't know. It would just have to be like street events. Like I don't think it would be street riders in it if they're not getting their points from street events. So then it kind of turns into like not street to me, because then it's going to be competition people who get the points that then go. But I guess that, I don't know. It's like if you like hitting rails and only want to hit rails, it's cool. But it'd be cool if it was like actually the street riders in it. That's the only thing I could say. But then I don't know if any street riders would want to do it because they're true to the street, like no competition.
I mean, who knows? I think it's such an interesting concept because, first of all, street riding, urban snowboarding, I think we're maybe one of the smaller demographics in professional snow sport culture or whatever, snowboarding. And so we think about like, yeah, you want to honor the culture, like urban riding was this thing that we resorted to because we didn't have resources. We couldn't afford the USASA memberships. We couldn't get to the mountains and get a lift ticket to compete, So a lot of people who have like, paved the way with street riding, it was kind of like the antithesis to the competitive snowboarding realm. And then now you look at it, and anytime like a corporation like FIS comes into play, it's kind of like there's a fear of them like doing it dirty, like really not honoring the culture, really not honoring bringing in the individuals who have made it what it is, and in a way just taking something and making it theirs. And so I'm super curious to see what happens too, if it does happen. And I shared this with you when we first talked about it and with Egan, where, oh my God, imagine. Like, and I even felt the same way when y'all went to X Games, and it puts street snowboarding on a level that makes it accessible to the general public. And so once that happens, imagine the opportunities that the riders could have. And we're already kind of seeing that. Like we see it with the Jill Perkins, we're seeing it with the Grace Warners, we're seeing these street riders becoming very profound, influential members of the snowboard culture. And that to me is progress in a way to where the riders are getting taken care of. And so for a long time with street riding, that was not the case. So I envision it's not necessarily a bad thing if it goes to the Olympics. I think it will immensely benefit the riders. I just really hope that they do it in the way to where the individuals who actually do it will be presented the opportunity to participate.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was very beautifully said. I was enamored as you were talking. I think too, to fill in anybody listeners that are confused about it, the concern about it is essentially if you're to take Big Air, right? If you want to qualify for Big Air, the only way to qualify for Big Air is to do it through slopestyle. So and so there's a concern that all of the street, if they put jibbing or whatever, rail jams in the Olympics, that the only way you could qualify would be through slope style or events like that, which would eliminate riders like Iris and Grace, like you mentioned, which would be a disservice to snowboarding. But exactly like you said too, like when I heard about it for the first time, and this is all hypothetical. I've never talked to anybody at FIS. This could all be hearsay. We could be spreading fake news. So take it with a grain of salt. But I feel like somebody like Iris, you could secure the bag.
Oh my God.
You could secure the bag, right? Like that would be sick.
It would be crazy.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Olympics?
Oh my God.
That would be insane.
It'd be insane. But also, you went to fucking X Games.
That's a good point.
That was
Like,
already insane enough.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then like I look at the other, like I look at Gabby Maiden. I'm like, Gabby Maiden's in fucking X Games? Like, pretty
Sick.
cool. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It is cool.
And it's, once again, events like these, when they take it seriously and they understand that what we do is serious, like everybody else takes you more serious.
Oh,
and
good
I
point.
think
Yeah.
we're watching that happen right
Yeah,
now.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a question from Egan, if I can find it here. Give me 1 second.
The elusive Egan.
Here we go.
This is Egan, and I'm here to ask you what the X Games experience was like. And how was it doing knuckle huck? Were you even supposed to be there? Let him know. I love you forever.
I like that the Birdman situation at the end.
That's what we do. We like go like that, and she'll look over from like really far away.
Oh, cool.
It's funny, yeah. X Games experience was crazy. Egan got the invite like a month before the event, and I like heard she was gonna go, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, and it's kind of funny. I actually, right before Risk Maturity, I got a split board, and my dad and I went and practiced setting it up and like using it for the first day. And I like the snow was horrible. I like got a core shot in my brand new split board. So then we like went to a bump, and I like was buttering it, and my dad was just joking. He's like, "You should be in the knuckle huck." Like, that's just kind of funny thing I should add in, because he like said this, and then I find out Egan's going to X Games, and I was like, damn, like who invited you? Like, I want to go. So then I like asked Sarah from Do Tour, and was like, can I come? And they sent me an invite right away, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to X Games, like crazy. So one, thank you Egan for helping me out with that. And yeah, so then we were there, and we're just going to be doing the street style, which is cool. Like, I'm used to hitting rails, and we got to practice on the course, and it felt good, and that was fun. I'm excited to be there. And then Eddie Wall, like, one day during it was like, would you want to be a alternate for the knuckle huck? And I was like, what? Like, I don't know. Like, would I be allowed to go try going over the knuckle? Like, I've never ridden over a knuckle that big. And so then he's like, yeah, and Egan's standing with me. So he's like, you guys could both go practice knuckle huck today if you want. So we went and practiced, and it felt better once we had ridden over it. And then he's like, okay, one person dropped. So like one of you is for sure going to be in, like who wants it? And I felt a little nervous about it, and Egan was like juiced. So I was like, give it to Egan. Egan's in the fucking knuckle huck. Let's go. And then he texts like an hour later, and he's like, oh, actually someone else dropped. Like, you're in too. So Egan and I are both in knuckle huck. It's the next day, so it's like tomorrow. We're like, okay, oh my gosh. Like, we've practiced it once, riding over this huge knuckle. The people who are doing the big air are on this scaffolding next to us, like 20 feet higher. They keep walking up these stairs, and like, as we're practicing, it's kind of like, you go, like, I'll go, you go, I go. And they're like going and doing like 21. Like, I've never seen people spin that much with my real eyes.
You realize.
They're 21.
Yeah,
Some type of 21.
They're spinning us so much, and then we're just like trying to ride to the knuckle and like make it down good. It was just crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, and then Ted trained us. We like went to the park the next morning and like tried to do like Miller flips off the little
Ted
jump.
Borland was your coach?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then we did it, and Egan freaking got third and got an X Games medal, and it was amazing. Like, it was a really special moment, and it was just funny. We weren't even supposed to be in it, and and she's walking away with an X Games medal. It was dope.
Gangster. You know what trips me out thinking about your arc of your career here? You're looking at like 3 years prior, you're like in Bozeman riding, Bridger Bowl and like basically an unknown snowboarder. Would you agree? I mean, that's safe to say.
Yes, for sure.
And then boom, next year, Red Bull Heavy Metal, you make a name for yourself. Boom, 2 years later, X Games. Like what a just like a rapid hockey stick chart if we were looking at your career of just upward growth. It's awesome. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the numbers, we're talking 17 to 20.
Yep.
Like I look at the majority of people, especially street riders, it's like you're not really making a name for yourself until you're like 25, 27, sometimes 30. I think Maria Thompson was 30 when she was standout video parts and stuff. And 17 to 20, you got your whole life ahead of you. Like, I am so excited to see like for what you were able to accomplish in these brief 3 years with minimal resources. Like, I am so excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me too. It's crazy. It's like I'm living my dreams all of a sudden. It was like I did know people do this and like go to X Games and stuff, but I never thought I could do it. Like, I guess I just felt like you have to be doing like the competitions and like being coached and like going to the summer camps. So I was like, whatever, I do this for fun. But yeah, it's been like really cool to see how it's fallen into place, and it's like a blessing. Like otherwise I would have been like working, probably like trying to figure out like rent, like sharing a house with homies and stuff. Like I'm like on this path that I like feel like is really meant to be. And I've kind of had to like come to terms with that too, like just like trusting the process and like believing everything happens for a reason. And like, even if it's shitty, it's like, I'm going to learn from this. And like, also like taking the time to make sure you learn from what happens and like reflect or debrief or like whatever it is you need to do to be like, why did that happen? Okay. And after that happened, this is how I'm better. So like, like you have to make sure you're learning too, not just like, oh, that happened and it sucked.
Wise beyond your years.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to me because I think a lot of people want to be professional snowboarders. A lot of women want to make it in the industry. A lot of people commit their lives to this path, and oftentimes a lot of people don't make it. So I think there's something to be said too, where it's like you were put through the ringer. Like you have incredible resiliency. You found yourself at the right places at the right time. But I think too, like, because I also think a lot of people listen to the show for like insight of like they want to know about how people got to where they are. And I think something that should be just like said about you once again is like the ways in which you choose to show up, like the attitude that you have. There's something there to where it's like I think that has contributed so much to your like immediate success, like for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think so too. Because I just like want to be positive about a lot of things. I guess that's something I could bring up about my mom is like all the crazy hectic stuff happened, but in general she's always like had some sort of like positive saying for me or like affirmation. I don't know, she sends me like Bible verses sometimes, or even just a funny like quote or like about being strong, or who knows. And sometimes they're like dorky, but like in general I've like appreciated it a lot throughout my life, like just the hope. Even if she doesn't have hope, she's like giving me it. And I'm like, whoa, thank you, Mom.
Hope goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
And it's cool to see how much courage it takes to show up to a Red Bull Heavy Metal, jump on a giant kink rail when you haven't done that before. You show up to these events and you show up to X Games. It would be easy to say, no, I'm not going to go to X Games, because realistically, if you don't try, you can't fail. If you don't try, you can't fail. And it's way easier to say no and stay in your safe space than say yeah and go for it, where it's scary and put yourself in a vulnerable situation. And it seems like whatever the event is, you've showed up, tried your best, tried your hardest, made some good money doing so, made a name for yourself doing so. And, I think that rail jams are also, I was almost thinking as I was listening to you talk, kind of important for snowboarding for young riders to get their foot in the door. Right?
Definitely.
Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. now that I started filming a little more this year, I was like, wow, what if I like didn't do the rail jams? I'd have more time, and like I want to start like filming in the backcountry more. So it's like if I'm gonna do street and backcountry, like there's just less time even. But it's definitely important for one, meeting people and just like having fun, like to go to the events and like ride in a new place, and like sometimes you stay with your friends and like then you get to know them better because you're just with them in the morning, and like I don't know, it's like all those experiences bring you closer, and then eventually you like hang out with those people all the time, and now I'm like filming with them. Like I met Egan last year at the Mission Ridge project in Sierra 2. It was like the Dino's house, and I was riding for Modest at the time, but like Jeno hit me up and just said I was staying in their house, which was awesome, but it was like a really crazy, there was like 25 people in the house. So Egan, Sierra, and I got the master bedroom, and it was like our little hideout spot, and like they smoked spliffs and I would join them, and like we became homies. Like it was awesome. And now I've like, then I started, when I'd come to Salt Lake last year, I'd like just stay at their house, and at first it was like I was really awkward, like I didn't know them that well. I kind of felt like a burden, but it's just like opening up and being around the people more often, you get more comfortable, and then you get cooler opportunities. Like at Mecca, Des was like, I'm going to film a video this year. Like if you want to join us at all, come. And it was like kind of during a hectic morning, and you just quickly said it. And then I like texted her like a week or so later and was like, hi, like I really want to actually film with you guys. And like then she like hit up Egan and Grace and asked if everyone was okay with that. And that was like a little moment where I was like, did Des text you? Like she said she's gonna ask if that's okay. Like then she got back to me, and I was so excited. Like, and it's like changed everything. Like that was my goal last year, filming with the skiers, was to like have people notice. But like I think that doing the events as well helps people notice. So yeah, it's important to get yourself out there and like keep your name in the flow. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no substitute. You can see footage all over, but it's so much more impactful when you see somebody in person bust down. It's like
definitely,
you're just like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah, that's something too I've noticed a little that was hard for me at first. Like all my life growing up, I was like, I'm never gonna drink. Like in high school, I started like dabbling a little, and I'm like, I feel like I'm at a good point with it now where I can like have fun some nights with my friends. But like at the beginning, I realized there's like a big party scene in snowboarding, and I was like, whoa. And like then I started to realize that that's where a lot of people make their connections, like when they're out at the bar. And like one, I'm not old enough to be at the bar. And two, I didn't really like being there. So I was like, how do I like, I don't know, but that is something that's like prevalent in it, is you make connections at the bar. So if you're just out and about, I don't know.
That's
I mean, the events are the same, but yeah.
Yeah. I think too, it's like, especially after the COVID era, you know, the resurgence of the rail jam, because there were a couple years, Chris, where rail jams just kind of went away.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's funny too, where it's almost come full circle, because I think you and I both benefited from doing rail jams.
I wouldn't have been on Solomon had I not done rail jams. Like
same.
Half my career is because of rail jams. But yeah, continue.
No, and so like we're seeing this like rebirth of the rail jams, and then like once again, it's fostering the opportunity for the community to come together and for people to actually be able to meet each other. Like Iris has such a valid point. She cannot get into bars right now, and it's funny. Like God forbid the day you turn 21, babe, because you are such a social butterfly. But it's also another really cool thing. You made it work.
100%.
Yeah, you don't have to go.
Yeah, it's also refreshing to see somebody that's 20 years old that is taking good care of themselves, that is like health conscious, that is driven, that's focused, because I feel like our generation, we were blacked out, cross-eyed, destroying shit, which I also still love to see. For the record, it's fun to watch. But you know, like you're like, holy shit, we were able to pull this off while we were mangled. Yeah. Imagine what Iris is gonna be able to pull off with her shit together.
No, I fully agree. And I actually it's a conversation I've had with a couple people where the kids are all right. Like something that I noticed, and I was actually having a conversation with Dustin Craven about this in Mammoth, where we were like the tail end of the boomer generation, where it's like alcohol had such an influence on everything, you know, and then now this like younger generation, it's like booze isn't really the focus anymore, I guess. Like it's just a thing where it's like they're not partying. Like, they're really I mean, y'all are fucking stoners for sure, which I cannot hang with. But for me, like, in a way, like, I love it. I love seeing alcohol not being a part of the equation. And it gives me a lot of hope.
Totally.
For the kids.
I think there's an argument. I'm just going to jump right in because I love what you're saying here. I think there's also an argument like, you know, like snowboarding's fucking punk rock. We drink, like we like our pros to fucking shred all day and party at the bar. And I was drawn to that big time and wanted to be that my whole childhood and like teenage years and formative years. I loved seeing the grenade crew fuck it up on the hill and then rage at night, and I was drawn to that, and I thought it was awesome. But like if that's becomes the norm, sometimes not drinking is actually fucking more punk rock too. You know, there's a punk rock aspect of not drinking or not being the guy at the bar.
You use punk rock as a comparison so you used it with therapy when I was on the group chat.
Yeah.
I love it. No, it's...
I don't know what I say in here. I just black out.
No, you're doing great. And I didn't mean to point out a flaw. It's not a flaw, actually. And I fully agree with you because, you know, we are a rebellious culture. Snowboarding was born out of rebellion, and it's a subculture. So there's supposed to be this badass... fuck it, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want, fuck parents, I'm living, you know, and like with this new generation, I just think it's really cool to see the kids actually living without relying on the substance. And it's a shift. Like, we're watching a shift happen right now. And I think too, like, we didn't have all the information when we were younger. We didn't know that
we didn't have people to look up to that were sober. That's a good point.
Yeah, we had adults getting a shit-faced.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
I don't know, but it's like, I think in my role, like, I am 36 years old and I'm traveling with 20-year-olds, you know? So, like, whenever I get that opportunity, like, I hold myself accountable and responsible to making sure that these kids are safe and protected and taken care of. And I think even that is a new approach to providing, like, a safe experience in snowboarding, especially with y'all being women. Like, God, imagine if, like, I could have had something like that, or Jess could have had something like that, you know? So, like, once again, I just think it's a new generation. And I hope moving forward, like, I don't know, I hope drinking continues to get pushed back and people are, like, living.
How's Des as a Sherpa on these trips?
Oh, God.
Des is awesome. Thank you for taking care of us. That was so sweet. Des drives the van around, and we'd always have to make sure she'd stay on the left side.
Dude, driving in Japan, literally every time we're like,
left side.
Yeah, just from the back seat, left side. And then I'm like, left side.
It's awesome. Des and Ted have known each other for a while, I think. So, like, they have a dynamic that is, like, new for me. Like, I'm learning a lot. And, like, it's been awesome. There's definitely parts that are hard. Sometimes people aren't getting along. We're, like, in the same place for a couple weeks. That's, like, a long time to be with each other. So, like, there's times when it gets a little heated and it's like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sick of you. But ultimately, it's awesome. And I've had to just, like, be like, I'm so grateful to be in this place with these people. Like, Desiree's giving us a huge opportunity, and it's really special. Like, and I don't know how to, like, be grateful for it, because, like, it's crazy, and it's, like, making it a lot easier for us. Like, they help us plan the trips, like, which is also crazy because she lets us know, like, one day before sometimes. Like,
that's the nature of the game, though.
That is.
Yeah, and I want to clarify, it's like, it's not me granting you guys the opportunity. Like, I consider myself a facilitator for sure, but I think y'all have done the work to be where you are at talent-wise on a snowboard. And I think, you know, for me, looking at the landscape, it just has to become a proactive act to make sure that there are resources and opportunities for individuals like yourself, like Egan, for grace for Itchy, like for everybody to have a place to like long live the video part, you know, God forbid it does become only Instagram or only influencer or only events. Like I think there's so much creativity in filming, and I think there's so much life experience to be had, you know, and like I saw that traveling with y'all where I'm like, oh my God, in a way I'm 20 again. And it's like for me and Chris, I know this resonates with you too, like the trips we got to go on, the things we got to do, like those things were what made us us. So if snowboarders don't get to have that experience, like who are y'all gonna become? Like what's gonna happen to the culture? What'll happen to the industry? Like are you all just gonna go into like VR? I don't know. So like I do want to clarify that, but then also I was going to say something. Oh, the TED thing. Yeah. So being on a trip with like me, like I'm kind of old and crusty. And so like, I'll be like in Japan and I'm like, I'm so depressed. Life sucks. Everything is awful. I'm injured again. And then we have like Iris.
That checks out.
Yeah. So everybody knows I am Downer Debbie. You fucking hate being around me. It's fine. And then we get up in the like next morning comes and Iris is just like, good morning. And I'm just like, fuck, here we go. And basically it's like for whatever opportunity I granted you all also provided me an opportunity of like growth and maybe a restructure of my perspective and just the awesome ability to experience life with y'all.
Yeah, it's
cool.
been special. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Bit of a tangent.
Something I'll never forget.
Also, I do want to say, God bless fucking Seb Picard.
Yeah. Yeah. Seb, he is so patient.
Spot God, too.
Yeah, we kind of adopted our little French Canadian into our project. I think like early on, Egan we all kind of agreed, like, it's really helpful to have some male energy on the trips. And we're like, all right, who's the dude? Who's going to be the guinea pig? Who do we invite? Who's our little token boy? Not really. But,
oh my God.
Our little token boy.
We made a joke about that in Mammoth, actually, about Marty Bashan, where it's like he was like our token boy on the Mammoth trip. And it's just a funny concept because there's always the fucking token girl. So now we're like, all right, let's go, token boy. Let's put like a soft little clip of you in there, a little lifey, you not really pressing. And that's your one clip in the edit. Fuck you.
Edit it to like a Chicken Head song by Project Pat.
Yeah, sounds perfect. Actually, that really aligns. It's cool. Throw a girl in the movie, call her mattress back. Cut. Anyways, going back to that, pretty much every big trip we went on this year, Seb did join. And I have never seen a professional male snowboarder shovel as much, be as patient, be as kind, be so willing with his time to be on a film trip. And honestly, like, he's so good at snowboarding, so maybe it wasn't really a concern for him to get clips. But the way that he showed up for our group, it was really cool. And I think a lot of men should be more like that. Seb is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have a good time filming, Seb?
Yeah. Seb's super nice. I just hung out with Seb actually in Canada. We were bowling every night.
Nice. Did you go to Quebec and get some clips?
No, we were in Banff for Holy Bowly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. We got a question from one of our Patreon members, Mo. Shout out to Mo. He's a legend. Iris, you have been on a tear this season, slaying comps everywhere while still putting out a solid video part. What was one of your favorite events from this past year?
Maybe this year's heavy metal. It was kind of full circle. It was set up like I just think the most comfortable I've felt at it. Out of all the years, I felt the most comfortable. And I guess I like know everybody better now too, so it was really fun. And like going into the jump, we had to winch, which is just kind of a crazy concept to winch in a contest. Like, I don't know, some people had never even used a winch before, so it was just like funny watching everyone try to throw it over and not run it over. Like, it was hectic. And I guess I'm pretty stoked because the last stage was a kink rail, and I like in the little first section, I board slid it, but then fell on my butt, and I was like, no. But then I was like, okay, actually that's good because I don't know if you could board slide it again, and like if you make it to the finals, you have to board slide. So I was like, okay, I got my tester one, my testing one, and then I just was like trying to 50. Then I made it to the finals. I was so happy and board slid it in that, and it felt so good, and I like won that zone, and it just felt really good, I guess, from that event being kind of my first thing to like finally like getting acknowledged at it. It felt good. And I was like staying with Egan. We were like, it's been really fun and exciting hanging out with Egan a lot this year. I like parked my van outside her house most of the year if we weren't on big trips, and if we were on big trips, we're together. So we've been getting to know each other really well and like just messing around, and I don't know, it's fun. And we knew we were going to Japan right after, so we like stayed up all night, tried to get on Japan time. Like, I don't know, it was fun. It was a good
you went
event.
to Japan the next day?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That energy was insane at that. Like the crowd at the Minneapolis event, I don't know how many people there were. It seemed like thousands.
Yeah.
But riding with that type of arena setting must get you jacked up. Is it cool? Do you feed off of it?
Yeah, it was cool. It like is kind of overwhelming at first. You're like, oh wow, everyone's actually coming. Like today's the day. Here we go. But that riding at that place was really cool. Like I can't believe they let us snowboard at the Capitol. And like Veda and I went and walked around inside to like get our minds cleared before, and we're like looking at this like big courtroom area. I don't know, it was just funny. It was like a new experience. That event always kind of is too, because you always walk up and there's no snow on the ground near you. You're just like walking to where they put the snow. So kind of crazy. And yeah, the people would get me going. I had some friends that like live in Minnesota that came, so that was exciting. I'm like looking for them. That's something that's been kind of like crazy, is I'm usually at the events by myself. Like I hope that someday my mom or dad could come. This year, my little brother came out for Dew Tour, and we stayed in my van for like 10 days. He came out a little before it, and so we like rode copper and just like hung out, and then Dew Tour happened, and he was like there with me, and it was really nice to have like a family member there. And like my friend Audrey, she makes like these big face signs, like a picture of you, and so they were holding pictures of my face up. Like I don't know, it was really special and made me happy.
Cool. Dew Tour looked like you put down a heater qualifier, and then that was the cab 2 at the end. But then what happened when it came to finals? I
like switched up my run. I think I was like a little flustered, maybe like kind of the waiting, like the stop and go kind of thing is just hard. Like that format is hard. You're not like snowboarding at your own pace. It's like, okay, where's Iris? It's her turn. Drop. Like you're dropping now. And I don't know, it's kind of crazy. And then you wait for the next heats to happen, and you're like, okay. So I just like switched my lineup a little, and then I think I got a little excited for the cab too and just clipped. And you can't fall.
I also think that shit's such bullshit, because I think there was some miscommunication that occurred where other individuals who made it to finals, they did the exact same run. And I think there was a point where you were like, I have to do 2 different runs, you know, which is why you tried this second line, which in my opinion, it's like the first line you put down was the finals worthy line, and then the second one you fell on. So it's like, in a way too, it's like, God, Dew Tour. It's like you are a huge event for that's like trying to represent street snowboarding, urban snowboarding. Like do a little bit more work into figuring out like the format and a like way for the competitors to compete against each other that honors what they're doing. Like you should have been in finals, but you could say that about a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to discredit the others as well, but like that to me was like a robbery where I'm like,
it was major bummer. I got on the sled and started crying and called my dad, and I was like, no, I was just bummed. I wanted to keep going. And I knocked the wind out of myself a little, so I was like trying to breathe, and ultimately it's a learning thing. And that was kind of cool, because when I called my dad, it was also kind of full circle, because he was just like, I'm proud of you. You did a really good job. And that was like really nice to hear, instead of like, and then the next day he did suggest, he's like, you shouldn't have switched your lineup. Like, and so I'm learning, but like, it's okay. That's how it goes. And that's the format of Dew Tour. And fuck yeah, go Veda. Like, I'm so stoked she was on that podium. Veda. Like, yes. I'm so proud of her. That's someone I should major shout out, Veda Hallen. She's my dog.
Also 17 years old.
Is she?
Right?
Yeah, 18, I think.
18
she's 18
now?
Yeah.
Either way, I've been watching Veda on the internet for a little while now, and just every event, every new like Instagram post from her, like this is somebody where I'm like, holy shit. Like
Yeah.
you are
Charger.
Yeah, Charger. And it's just like figuring it out. And it's cool to see. Also, like y'all's posse is insane.
Yeah, it's a fun crew that we're forming. And it's like new. I think everybody feels like it's like kind of happening, like all of us together. Yeah. I don't feel like it's been established for like a couple years and I just like joined it. Like maybe a little, but like in general, everyone's like really becoming friends, it seems like. It's cool. The events, it's like super supportive. Everyone's cheering for each other.
Y'all are the new generation. I have a question for you. Do you experience imposter syndrome?
Definitely. At first, definitely. And even now, like at X Games, I felt really like, why am I here? Like you just see a lot of the people with like their coaches and people who have been kind of like building this life and they knew they were going to go to X Games and like they hoped to go to the Olympics and like they knew they were going to be on this path. So I'm very like, whoa, I'm here. This is cool. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. And at first, I didn't feel like I was that good at snowboarding. I honestly wasn't. Like, in the last couple of years, I've, like, really pushed my snowboarding. And that's been important for me. Like, I really had to be like, all right, Iris, you're getting this opportunity. And, like, you actually have to, like deserve it, I guess. So I have really started pushing myself a lot in the last couple of years, like, to get better. But I don't know. It's always easy to feel like you're not supposed to be somewhere, but that's another part of like trusting the process. I've been like, we're all supposed to be here in this moment. And I think it's really special. Like sometimes we're at events and I like look around at everyone and I'm just like, wow, like we all came to this one spot. We all decided to come here for like whatever, because it would be fun, or like they all felt like it was right and I felt like it was right. It's cool. Like I think it's cool when a group of people collide, because like that group may never all be together like at the same time again. Like the moments are special.
I have a question too. So what do you think the ingredients are? You've had some success in the past few years. You've been on a really fast trajectory, getting better at snowboarding. What do you think the ingredients are to getting really good at snowboarding?
I started following people that I thought were really good on Instagram, like Henna and Maria Thompson, Jill and Grace, and just like, and Jalen, and watching their clips and like just trying to figure it out. Like at first I couldn't figure out when people were going switch and regular. Like I had to like figure out what the tricks are first, kind of. And then I started making lists of like the ones I wanted to learn. And then I'd go and look at my list and try and like figure it out. And then like eventually I learned which tricks are similar to others. Like I've started figuring out like what these tricks are. Like at first I didn't even know what was going on. So I guess just learning what I'm trying to do first, and then like which way I'm spinning and how that's like comparative. Like I remember when I met Sierra at Hood, she was teaching me how to board slide pretzel, and she's like, get in the board slide and then act like you're gonna back one. And like that helped me a lot. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of figuring out like what the motions are. It helps.
Something so incredibly cool just like happened in that explanation. You didn't name a single dude. You didn't name a single male snowboarder in your like perfect ingredient list of how you are figuring it out. That is like, that right there is like, we are in a new era. That is so fucking cool. Like, I don't know. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like pretty profound. Like, I feel like any other girl that you bring on the show, it's always like, oh, like Dusty Hendrickson or fucking Nick Dirks or fucking Louis Paradis. Like, there's like the staple dudes who have like influenced all of snowboarding culture. But we're finally at a place in time where a person who isn't like Iris, female, can have a bunch of other girls who influence you.
Mm-hmm. That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have that.
Seriously.
It's new.
Yeah. That's so cool. And that's funny. I didn't even know who you were.
I know.
Till we met at Hood.
I know.
Or not at Hood, at Troll.
I know.
And then I listened to some of the bomb holes and people were like, Jessica Mira and Desiree. And I was like, oh, Desiree. Like, she was one of them.
I met her at Troll Hog.
I'm pretty sure Iris had never seen any of my video parts.
I didn't. And I still really haven't even seen any of Ted's. He sent me a Dropbox of all the old ones that aren't even on YouTube or anything. And I need to go watch them.
Yeah, Ted's a dog. He's filmed some heaters.
Yeah. I still need to do some catching up.
There is something really pure, too, about just like what I hear in you saying that is that you just love snowboarding for snowboarding's sake and not I mean, I've been a nerd my whole life about tricks and all that stuff, but there's something pure about that.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just
you
fun
go
for
snowboarding
me. Yeah.
and you're like, oh, what's this trick called? Cool. I'm gonna do it.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, my mind goes to where it's like I'm such like a thought-oriented person where I'm like, how do you not know these things? And it's like, God forbid my ego gets in the way a little bit. But I mean, that's like a joke in a way. But also, like, I think too, like, now also after being educated about like your childhood and like life in general and things, and it's just like, fuck, having access to snowboarding, like that's a resource. Having access to like the history of snowboarding, that's also a resource. Like I kind of get it now. And so like that's something too where like it goes back into and the whatever, there's just like my mind processing the entire like show that we've just done in a way too, where it's like I've spent a lot of time with you and I didn't know much about you, you know, and I think that can be said as like a more generalized statement of maybe like when the kids don't watch the videos or don't know things, it's like, fuck, like we're entering an era where like they aren't going to watch the movies, and there are going to be snowboarders who are passionate about snowboarding for snowboarding's sake, and a lot of the ways that they're going to get the information is through Instagram, and it's just like, I don't know.
I mean, the only part I think for if you want to be a video part snowboarder, I do think it's important to know what's been done and what, like, if you go to a spot and you're like, I'm gonna 270 this, and you're like, well, it's been 270 7 years ago, and then that comes out, you're just doing a disservice to yourself, because everybody's that knows is gonna watch the clip and be like, that was cool, but somebody 270'd that 7 years ago, you know?
Fully agree with you. And I think, you know, in a way that's almost like the service that the bomb hole is providing, where it allows us to sit there and say these like unspoken rules of filming culture, where it's, but I also think like, I'm sure Iris 3 years ago wasn't concerned about what tricks anybody had done on any spot. And it's kind of just like, I did this. Okay, next. What's next?
Yep.
And yeah, without that exposure, and then also without knowing that, like, yeah, if you don't know what's been done, like, that's kind of a bad look, you know? But then it's also like, why is it a bad look?
No, at first people definitely were really surprised, especially Sam Klein. He sent me a whole list of videos to watch. Like, it was serious. He's like, you need to get in on this if you're trying to do this. Like, so at times I do kind of feel like almost like disrespectful for not knowing, kind of. But it's just because I guess I was just busy growing up. Like in the summers, I would go skateboard and bike and go in the river. So I like just wasn't sitting there with a bunch of time to do stuff. I was always kind of running around. So I think I just didn't film, like have time to watch, or like I did, but I just didn't choose to do that, which is kind of weird and crazy.
You're living, you're present.
Yeah.
There's some beauty in that.
I also think you had a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And like that, and like that's the thing too, like you like very subtly stated it in like a very subtle way, but like the reality is like you didn't have time to be doing that.
Yeah.
You had way more important shit going on, which I think is super valid.
Yeah. It all makes sense. I'm gonna keep updating myself though. I gotta watch all these old videos.
Have you watched any Videograss movies yet?
I don't think so.
There's a lot of videos out there. Godspeed. There's thousands and thousands.
Yeah. Now it's what, 178 come out a year?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
you got 100, add another 100 every year, and then report back in 10 years. Let us know how you're doing. Luckily, back in the day, there was like 5 that came out.
I watched some Uninvited videos.
Proud of you.
There you go.
Those are formative.
Yeah. Those are what I watched.
I think also it's like, it is your environment in the sense too, is like, I was friends with Scott Stevens when I was in high school. It was just like, if I didn't know the shit, I was just like not even in the conversation. I was like, damn, I got to watch these so I can at least fucking chime in with my 2 cents, you know, and that's how our circle was. Some people grow up and they're like, we don't fucking watch videos, and it's environmental, I think too. So, all right, we got a question from Callan Huang. Coming from Bean, Soy Sauce Nation represent. Can you tell us how things have changed or are changing for female snowboarding, especially from a diversity perspective now in 2024, and advice for the new up-and-comers?
Aw, thank you, Callan. Okay. How is it changing for like colored snowboarders? I don't know. I've had an interesting time, like I'm half Vietnamese. There was one other kid in my school, his name's Trent. He was half Vietnamese, half white too, so it was kind of funny. We were like the same. and that was the only other person, and then Hero. So there's like not that many Asians. And I didn't feel like that different, but some kids would definitely like say some shit like I eat dogs or like, I don't know, like people definitely knew I was Asian and like chirped me in different little ways about it, but it didn't like affect me too much. We always like grew up making salmon rolls and like spring rolls and like pho, and those were kind of our two like Vietnamese staple foods, and like because my grandma made those and then my dad started making those, and like that's kind of the way we were Asian. Like, I don't know any Vietnamese. Like, I never really, like, hung out with just Asian people. I don't know. Like, it wasn't, like, a very big thing in my life. I just kind of knew I was, like, not fully white. And it wasn't that, like, it wasn't negative. But I guess, like, eventually now, yeah, the Soy Sauce Nation is a thing. I started, like, tagging them in some of my posts and getting in touch with AK and Nirvana. And, like, I listened to Nirvana's Bomb Hole, and I was, like, so inspired by her. I don't know. It's cool. Like, I had looked up to that. And then eventually they started doing events, and, like, I went, this was, like, the 3rd or 4th year that I've gone now. And, like, going to that kind of made me, like, it brought out more of, like, my Vietnamese side. Like, we, like, made food, and, like, some of them know how to speak it. And, like, they're all different types of Asians. There's, like, less Vietnamese people, actually, that go to that event. It's funny. It's, like, a very small group. But it made me realize that it is special to be, like, different. I don't know. And I've not ever been, like, ashamed of it, but I've also not ever really, like, truly, like, been, like, proud of it, I guess, because I didn't even know that it's, like, that different or special, or I don't really know. But I don't know. I think people have been welcoming to me, like, and that's probably, like, a privileged kind of side. Like, people have been nice, especially in snowboarding, and, like, mostly, like, when I've talked about being Asian or, like, recognized it the most is at the soy sauce event. So we're all there together making, like, spam musubi, and we, like, are hanging out, and then you eat them on hill. Like, I don't know. It's, like, a nice, welcoming environment that I've just been able to be a part of, and it's, like, so cool that they're doing that. So I've not really ever felt that, like, unexcluded, other than my friends making little jokes, but it wasn't like them, I think, trying to be very attacking. I think probably they just like see those types of jokes like on Instagram or something, and then they just copy it. Like, they don't know that they're being so aggressive. And yeah, I don't know. But I think it's been pretty welcoming, especially due to the Soy Sauce Nation.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think, what is Soy Sauce Nation?
It's a group, Nirvana, AK, and Max Tokunaga made it. And the first one was like 3 years ago at Hood. They just did a gathering where like people who followed it, and I think they invited like a certain group of people, but they all got together and they kind of built like a little setup and got clips on it. And like, it's just like a community event to like talk to people about your experiences and make good food and hang out. Like, that's pretty much it. And now it's like gone on for 3 years, and like this past year there was like 150 people at it. Like, it's grown a lot, and it's really cool. And it's been at Boreal the past 3 years, and it's usually pretty nice weather. This past year they made us like the best course ever, and Hero Sun's there, so that's cool. We can hang out. And like this year Raibu was there. That was really fun to, like, I don't know, it's cool. It's just a cool environment, and there's no competition. You just go to hang out and make food and have fun with each other. And it's like special too, because I think everybody's aware. We're all, obviously they're all aware, but it's like we're all coming together to be together, and it's special.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Seems like the sense of community is growing in snowboarding these days.
Yeah, I agree. I just, like, I want to voice the importance of having something like Soy Sauce Nation, where it's like, I think a lot of times it's really hard to acknowledge that snowboard culture, action sport culture, is usually affluent, white, straight. So it is like, for everybody, I feel like representation is so important. So having things like Soy Sauce Nation is so awesome.
Yeah.
And it serves a purpose.
Yeah, it does.
And it creates change. And you just said it too with the numbers and how much it's grown.
Yeah.
So I'm such a fan of Nirvana and AK, and I've loved seeing the work that they've put into like the event that they created and watching it grow. It really shows that the demographic of snowboarding may be changing, even though it is slower than most other sports, but it's cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Love it. We got some more Patreon questions. Cake Pound Crew wants to know, music seems like a big deal in your life. What are your top 3 artists to ride to right now?
The Brat and
Like the Brat, like OG female rapper.
yeah.
Wow. I haven't listened to her in a while.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I feel like she's like was popping in like 05, right?
Yeah.
Or she's still putting out
Probably.
music.
I don't know. My dad, that's something about my dad. He put me on like OG rap. Like
Okay,
he loves
good,
it. Like
yep.
in the mornings we'd always listen to it, like Regulators by Warren G. Like I know all the words. Like I don't know. We would always listen to stuff like that. Or like Bobby Shmurda. That's kind of a funny one. But like on the way to school we're listening to Bobby Shmurda. Like my dad was definitely playing like some rogue music for me to be listening to when I was little. But it's sick. Like and I got on the OG like hip hop like rap vibe. And yeah, I listen to a lot of like old school rap. Egan has this crazy taste in music. It's like girly, like drum and bass kind of, but like also like crazy disco. Like, I don't know. So I've been kind of like getting a little more into that, honestly, because I'm with her all the time. And so we're listening to like some crazy fun girly rap pop music sometimes nowadays. But I don't know. I love Brat. I guess I could say Jack Johnson is special because when we'd go camping at Cliff Lake, we had this like red Jeep Cherokee, and my parents would leave all the doors open in the trunk, and we'd like blast music out of it, and it'd always be Jack Johnson. So like that's definitely like nostalgic to me. It's kind of all over the place. I listen to a lot of different music, but the OG rap is special.
Yeah, so Brat, Bobby Shmurda, Jack Johnson. We're all over the place. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious. Where do the kids get their music?
I don't know. Like find new music?
Yeah.
Like, the thing I've noticed recently that I like is, like, if you find a song and it's on Spotify, maybe they do it on Apple Music too, but you can, like, go to the radio, and then there's, like, a bunch of songs that are, like, I don't know. I'm not that crazy into, like, finding my own new music. I would just, like, go off my dad's songs, and now I'm, like, going off Egan's songs.
Was Desiree DJ at all in the van?
Yeah. She played good. You played good songs. Remember that one time we were driving to the Iwataka or something, and we were all singing? She played Lord. She played Royals.
Like, oh, that hit. Yeah, that hit.
Oh, yeah,
that's a classic.
banger.
I mean, you gotta.
No Morrissey?
No.
Thank God.
I did not play Morrissey once this winter. There were days where I would have my days and the kids would get in the van and I'd be like, don't fucking talk to me for 30 minutes and we're listening to what I want to listen to and then we'll play what you want to hear. It's like a form of like coping and decompressing. But I honestly think with the exception of Egan's disco, which she did begin to filter after we filmed together for like the Vulcan project a couple years ago, our whole crew kind of like gets down on like we listen to pretty similar stuff and it's really like everyone that likes a pretty high fun vibe, so it's good.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah,
we have good music going on.
We have great music taste.
Yeah.
It makes me want to listen to some Brat again. Fire that back up.
Yeah.
That kind of hits. We got one more Patreon question. Why don't you hit that Josh Sullivan question, Silk D?
Yeah. I read in a Snowboard Mag interview that Iris was a bit disappointed in the snowboard culture in Bozeman and that it was more suited for big mountain riding and skiers. Do you think that has anything to do with how the area is changing? More people with big tech dollars coming in and setting up shop? What are your thoughts?
Cool question. Yeah, Bozeman has blown up a lot. Like, people call it Bose Angeles. It's changing. It's sad. But it's, like, also cool because, like, there's a lot of friends that I can meet now. But it's, like, a pretty big college town. There just happens to be a lot more skiers. I mean, people snowboard for sure, but it's a ski scene. I've noticed a lot of kids who, like, used to ride at Highland, all skiers are moving there. It's funny. And the park scene's getting quite a bit better there. Like, the Big Sky Park is sick in the last 2 or 3 years. It didn't used to be like that. Big Sky actually used to be separated. Like, one side's Big Sky, one side's Moonlight, and they were two different resorts. And Moonlight had its own park, and it used to be, like, really sick and OG. Like, anyone who rode the old Moonlight Park, like, knows what's up. It's sick. But eventually Big Sky bought both, so now it's Big Sky, and they got rid of that park, and now the park's just on the Big Sky side, which is cool. Like, it was kind of fun, though, to some days to just be like, let's go to Moonlight today, and we, like, have a fun day over there. But now they have more time to focus on just this one park, and it's getting really good. They moved where the jumps are. Like, it's proper. So I do notice a lot of kids starting to move there, and it's becoming a more of a scene, but still not so much snowboarding. I mean, there's some, but I don't know what it is. It's just maybe kind of far away. I don't know what makes it so different from like, but I guess also like it seems like a lot of the scene is just like here. Like even if you go ride like, I don't know, anywhere else, there's not going to be as many snowboarders, I feel like. Like when you go to Brighton and Woody's, it's like all snowboarders. So maybe they all just want to be together here. I don't really know what it is. But it definitely changed how I grew up because I was just like following skiers. And I actually think it was really good for me because I learned how to traverse really well and like ride through trees all crazy. And like I had to keep up. And I think one of the biggest things is like I like challenge rails. Like I would always just go fast at challenge rails because I'm following the ski boys. Like I never even thought that that's like weird. So now I just always go for challenge rails. And I like sometimes notice my snowboard friends like don't even want to try that rail. And I'm like, why? It's going to be fun. They're like, ugh, I don't like that one.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really made you stand out too when you were first getting going is people were noticing how fast you were riding into features. Like that was a common conversation that I was having with like industry people who were like, who is Iris Pham? Like, you know, and it's like the key point was like she is riding so fast into this, so powerfully, like, and that's like I mean, yeah, it's a style of riding that I would say is a little bit uncommon in women, especially women so new to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying to keep up. They were going to leave me.
It worked.
Yeah.
All right, we've been cranking along here. I forgot to do name that video part. We're hitting it late in the game. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
All right, what is your confidence level? That was the intro, not the song, by the way. What is your confidence level 0 through 10 on name that video part?
3.
3? Okay, it's respectable.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
We've seen lower.
Yeah, we've seen lower.
I'm giving myself a little bit of hope.
All right, let's see how you do.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Not good? No? Not Des, do you know?
I don't even got it.
Oh, there we go. Good.
Okay, good. Do you need it again? Maybe? Just maybe?
I don't know.
Well, that's Jill Perkins in the ride video, rated R. It's pretty new, you know? It's new.
Also, granted, I only watched it once at the premiere where I spent the entire time screaming for Jill and Savannah. Couldn't hear it.
You do get a participation award.
Wow.
Bomb hole, Yeti
Can we
bag.
just cut and redo that? Jill is my roommate.
Nope, we cannot cut.
Nope.
We cannot cut that out.
Sorry, Jill.
I can't make it work. Sorry.
I'm really sorry.
Sorry, Jill. Jill's awesome. She's been helping me a lot recently. I really appreciate Jill. I just want to put that out there. I met her.
Now you're trying to make back up your points for not knowing
now
the
I
video
want to
part?
talk about Jill. I was like super scared of her at It's Tits. Then she said hi. Then like a couple months later go by and we're doing the game of snow. And I had to go against her and I started freaking out. I was like, no way, I'm going against Jill. I was freaked out. And she did gap back lip to the bottom of the kink rail first and I'd never even done a back lip. So I was like, okay, try that. Like, I don't know, it's crazy. That's just what I have to say about Jill.
And who won that battle?
Jill.
Okay.
Jill Perkins is not somebody you want to compete against. She is a beast.
She's got what we say, that dog in her.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Now I love how you guys are trying to win back Jill after not knowing her part. It's fine. Okay. So next part, this is for our listeners. If you know this isn't for you, Iris. If you know the song and video, comment on the photo of Iris on Instagram. That's where we pick our winner. You get a prize pack, right, Silk?
Yeah, I think it's some stickers or something.
Don't get your hopes up and thinking you're getting like what Iris got.
No, it's not.
Lower your expectations.
Not that, no.
Okay. We will disappoint you. Here we go. Okay. Thank you guys for playing. Name that video part.
A kid in a smelling salt.
Let's hit assault.
I have my one left.
Oh!
Last one.
I kind of like him.
Oh!
Try to go. I recently decided.
Good.
I recently decided I want to try to go on Shark Tank for run through a wall smelling salts. Imagine that. Imagine pitching it to Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. It'd be hilarious.
We got to get you on there.
We'll have Mikey LeBlanc run through a piece of sheetrock.
Chris, if there's one thing that I've learned about you over our many, many years of friendship is usually once you make a decision about something,
I know.
you are going to do it, and chances are it's probably going to fucking work.
Yeah.
So please go and do that.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go on too. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's go.
Support it.
I actually told Brittany, I was like, I'm going on Shark Tank, like with just full.
Said it like you already had it.
It already happened.
Yeah.
I already felt it. Okay, let's get into hot takes here. How you feeling about that, Iris? You ready to do some hot takes?
Yeah.
Okay. In your opinion, who is the greatest of all time to you? Your greatest of all time, both male and female snowboarder.
Maria Thompson.
Woo.
This one's kind of crazy. I don't know why it's popping in my head. Rope, Henny's boyfriend.
He's dope. I think that's the greatest. That's great. Yeah. He's the goat.
Okay,
He's your
and this
goat.
is another, I guess. Rene. Yeah.
I like Rope.
Rope. Yeah, let's go with Rope.
Just because I love that answer, and I love Renee, and I love Maria. Okay, next question. I like this one because it makes people angry, and they get angry that I ask it, so then I want to ask it even more. Would you consider snowboarding an art form or a sport?
I don't know. It seems like it's kind of both. Like, you definitely have to be athletic, and like we hike a lot, and you have to be kind of fit, like not just lazy. So I feel like it is kind of athletic, but in the terms of like filming street snowboarding, it's an art. You're like finding your spot you want to hit, and you like figure out how you're gonna build it, and then you like go try. I don't know. It's like a process, and you're with your friends, and you guys all have to agree that it's like gonna work, or maybe it's not. Like, so I think that's an art. Like sport, you're just going for it. I don't know. A little different.
I like it. Who was one of the most underrated riders in your eyes?
Kalia.
Great answer. Steel or powder?
Steel.
Thank God somebody actually got that right. A lot of people get that one wrong. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. Yep. Okay, who's got your favorite style on the snowboard?
Hannah.
Woo! Great answer. Who's got one of your favorite methods?
Melissa.
Oh, great answer. Yeah, that's a might be the correct answer. What's your favorite snowboard video ever made? There's just so many going through. There's so many.
A lot of options.
You can hit a skip on this.
Yeah, I don't know. Should I pick one?
I mean, you know what you can always say?
I like Blender. That's kind of basic.
Respect.
Great answer.
Yeah.
No, that's a great answer.
You've seen Blender.
Blender's a great answer.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Great answer.
You're fine.
I just I'm going to give you some media training right now. If you don't want to answer anything, you can always say no comment.
Okay.
That's like the official.
No comment.
Yeah, if you do.
But I also feel like she would have said no comment without saying Blender if she would have known that prior.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Yeah, we're glad you said Blender.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I'm just in the future.
Okay, thank
Media
you.
training. Or you can just like flip the question on its head and talk about something else, which is actual real media training, which is what people do. Like
Bit of a Louis Vito.
Yeah, you ask him the same question 14 times, he never tells you the answer. Okay, next question. Favorite board graphic ever?
I don't know.
No comment.
I have no comment on that one.
No, so the answer is no comment. Okay. Do you go pants over the high back or under the high back?
Under.
Yeah, that's pretty par for the course these days. If you could go heliboarding, with three people in the helicopter, whoever you want, fictional, real, doesn't really matter. Choose your own adventure. Who are you bringing? You got 3 seats.
My dad. And my brother. And Egan.
Good times. Okay, if you could have one dream sponsor, any sponsor in the world, doesn't have to be snowboard related, what would it be?
Haribo. Sour Sketty. I love Sour Sketty. And, okay, but for real, for snowboarding, and I want to say this, North Face.
Oh, wow. Okay. I love that. That could probably be a reality, too. Well, Haribo probably could be, too, actually.
Haribo.
I think both could totally be realities for Iris Pham.
Imagine a fat Haribo sticker on the nose.
Right.
That'll go.
Yeah, that would hit.
Right next to that new shiny North Face sticker.
Yeah, that TNF.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pashley, if you're listening, send over the DocuSign. Okay, worst trend. What do you got?
The cool guy thing. Like, everybody's just a person, and I think that I don't know. I think people should I know sometimes people are mean, but in general, just try to stop thinking that people are trying to be cooler. I don't know what it is. Sometimes people are just anxious and act weird. I think people got to get out of their heads a little, and I even did it too. I was very oh my gosh, these people don't like me, and everybody has their own experience, but in general, I've had to learn and realize that everybody's just a person, and if you just start talking to them and ask them a little about themselves, it can really break down that wall of the intimidation you felt. Just try to talk to people, and if they are a jerk to you, then yeah, you don't have to talk to them. You tried. But I think that a lot of people are intimidated by others from the start and then act a certain way about it, and it never changes. So you just have to try to interact with people.
Cool. I like that answer. Oh, we didn't talk about the bald face event at the end of the year. That would be cool, maybe.
I guess that's something bald face is crazy in general. When Carson tore his knee, his dad goes to bald face every year. They've gone for 12 years now. It's a family thing, and you have to be 19 to go. So we finally were 19, and Carson's dad goes every year, and it was coming up, and we were both planning on going, and it was super exciting, but then Carson couldn't come anymore. And so I was am I gonna not go anymore? But his dad called me and was this is gonna be really awesome and special, and if you feel comfortable coming, you should. So I went to bald face with 12 60-year-olds, and they all ski. And I that one was a lawyer, one's I don't know, they have all these real big jobs. Carson's dad is an architect, and so I'm just kind of talking to them about their big jobs, and I don't know, I feel kind of I don't know, a little out of place. And Jeff noticed I'm the same age as Estelle, and Estelle was actually up there, so he went and got her, and we met and hung out and got to know each other, and that was really cool. And then in the next morning, Estelle joined us on our cat for half the day, which was just so exciting to have a girl boarder in our cat and not just the old guys. So that was really exciting. And then after that, she couple months later invited me. Well, and first I need to say thank you to Carson's dad for taking me to bald face and still wanting me to come. That's such an opportunity, and really kind of him to offer that to me. And yeah, so then I met Estelle, and she invited me to low maintenance last year, and I brought a girl, she was inviting me as a pro, and I'm allowed to bring someone, which was crazy. I was what? So I brought this girl, Liv. She is on the Bridger freestyle team. She's the only girl snowboarder on it. She's pretty just like me, just chasing around the ski boys. So I was this is perfect. Someone who's in a situation I didn't realize what I could do with it until I did. So I was that's what she needs maybe. So I brought her, and it was really cool. It was actually kind of her first time riding POW. We went down Scary Cherry where they did the supernatural. It's crazy. It was big riding for both of us, but that was awesome. And then, yeah, this past winter, I got invited to the Risk Maturity and learned from Pat Moore and Jeremy Jones and Sage Kotzenberg. I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Yep.
And they taught us all these amazing skills that it really opened my mind. I want to get more into the backcountry. Coming from Montana, it's almost seems that's what I should be doing. It's kind of weird that I've become this big rail rider. It's also really cool, but I definitely want to do some backcountry stuff. So going there and learning all those skills was a really big start. And I think you have to keep learning all the time. So I have so much room to grow, and everybody has so much room to grow. People have even been doing it for a really long time, but that was kind of my start. So I'm really excited for that little chapter of eventually when I start riding the backcountry. And then, yeah, this year, low maintenance was cool because Egan and I don't know, like street riders were there. It was like pretty street oriented. The other times I've kind of gone and it's been like all these big mountain riders that I have to get to know, which is awesome. Like now I've met so many new cool people, but to go there with like a crew that I've been like going to a bunch of events with and like getting to know over the past 2 years, and then we're like in this cool magical place. Like we had Jack Coyne, I don't even know. We had Grace and Luke and Raibu came. Raibu and I got like super drunk at
Ilva go too?
Yeah. Raibu and I were like all partying at Soy Sauce, and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm gonna buy a truck and stay in America. And I was like, you should come to Low Maintenance. And then he came, like, yeah, and Naima, like, yeah, it was like a really big kind of the like street scene. It was cool. We had a lot of fun up there. And the snow wasn't bad, and they built us such a sick course, like all the way up this road. They had all these like perfectly built side hits for us, and then it leads into kind of like 2 jumps and a hip, and Jamie Lynn and Austin Smith were like whipping us up on sleds. Like Jamie flipped us off once. Estelle like loaded like 8 girls on, and they all flipped. Like it was kind of loose. It's fun. Like we had a lot of fun up there.
Sounds legendary.
Yeah.
Sounds like a damn good time.
Yeah,
definitely.
I didn't know actually what Low Maintenance was about, but I'm just like, that sounds like a hell of a time.
Yeah. I sadly had to bail because I got hurt. It sucked, but you know, you get the FOMO over the Instagram and you see all the kids, like you see your crew and you're just like, oh man, they were bald faced. Also, I will say this, I think you and I are a part of a very exclusive crew where maybe our past partner's parents paid for us to go to Baldface.
Yeah, whoa. And I guess I should say this year I was able to bring Veda, which was so exciting.
So sick.
And she went for it. She like went off this one cliff, tomahawked like 3 times apparently, like before I got there, and everyone was like talking about it. And then they had brought all the cats to this bottom zone, and it's like this big area and everybody's jumping off every little part. It's like, it's not normal, I don't think, that you get to like a big face like that and everybody just gets to jib as they please. Like Arthur Long goes flying off this thing. Like, I don't know, it was crazy. And then Veda and Egan and Rory Avalar decided they were like, let's try to backflip. And Veda was like the guinea pig. She went off and went almost double, like went huge, landed like on her stomach, and she was okay. And it was awesome. I was cheering so loud. I was like, yeah, man, it was so sick. Like, and everyone's at the bottom watching. It was so cool. And then she told us that, like, she had just talked to Egan and Rory about doing backflips. So we were like, oh, wait, like, they're up there eyeing it up then. Like, and Katie's like, be brave to Egan. Like, we can see her, like, practicing her little thing. It was so funny. And then they both chucked it, too. Like, it was just a really special moment of watching people push each other and, like, break through their fears. I like watching that.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
What a cool environment.
Yeah, for sure.
Love that. What do you got for setups? What are you riding for your snowboard?
I'm riding the Never Summer Infinity and fixed bindings and DC boots right now, DC outerwear. Are you asking about the stance?
Yeah, ask all the things. Give us the rundown on that thing.
Okay. The bindings are 12-12 and like 21 inches apart.
You got a classic duck.
I've been thinking about maybe trying 9-9. My hips are hurting. Do you think that would help?
I mean, Jed and like Bradshaw, they run like 0-0. I think I run on my rail boards. I run not much angle, but powder board I run a lot. Depends on what you're riding.
Yeah,
I think Tommy Gesme is 9-9.
Okay. My dad used to always set my board up, like up until like 4 years ago. He was on it. He'd always like ask me, he's like, can you tell I changed something? Like, it's funny. So now I'm like starting to set my own boards up and trying to figure it out.
I think it depends on your body type, body positioning. Different people's bodies like different things, you know? And certain people ride really open shoulders. They want posy for the way they ride the mountain. But posy isn't necessarily good for like a cab 2.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
Egan was riding that at Uninvited.
Yep.
It's really fun. It's really fun.
She didn't mean to.
Oh, shit, what?
We noticed after. She's like, dude, I've been riding like...
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
But I think there's a cool story about your board, how that was the first one that you've ever ridden and you've stuck with it.
Yeah. It's just felt good.
What's it called?
The Infinity.
Never
It's
Summer
kind of
Infinity.
ironic,
Yeah.
the Infinity for Infinity. I like it. It's just what I've liked, so it's funny. But people definitely recently have been like, Jill was like, "You've never tried a camber snowboard?" Like, so that's kind of crazy new thing for me to hear. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even realize I've been like on a different snowboard my whole life. I just like it.
So have you ridden other boards?
No.
Since you started snowboarding, you've ridden the same exact model and brand.
This is the one.
You've never
This
tried
is the snowboard.
You've never tried any other.
When I got on Never Summer, I tried all the other women's boards, and they just felt kind of stiff. Like,
yeah.
I'm on a really soft, like the beginner board.
When you ride powder, do you switch your snowboard?
That would help.
I should.
That would help. But for rails, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, I also saw Iris get in the air in Japan, and I was like, beast.
Mm-hmm.
She rode away.
Yep. I love that. She knew right when she got on that first time ever at age 7 or whatever it was.
Done deal.
This is it. This is it for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it is. I'm just kidding. I don't know what's to come.
Whatever it is, it's working. The board seems to be working well.
Yeah, it's working.
So, I love that. Do you want to throw out any thank yous?
I have a friend, Sylvie, that like we grew up pretty similarly, and she's always been there for me. Like, we've always been able to talk about our lives together. Like, growing up in Bozeman was a lot of kids were just privileged, and eventually, like, when we had to get cars and stuff, like, their parents just bought them a car, and like, I don't know, stuff was like a little easier for some people, and Sylvie and I were like a little bit out of that, so it was really nice to just have her throughout my life, and we could relate about things, and like, I just feel like I should talk about Sylvie because she's like been a really big part of my life, and like someone that's relatable in a town that's like everybody seems to have it all and we didn't. So I love you, Sylvie. I guess I should just shout out like all the sponsors. Thank you, Never Summer, for putting me on at the start. Like I wouldn't be anywhere without them. They kind of like started it, and I started to travel a little more, and they also like helped me in a time of need, and like it just got everything going. Then I was like at Troll, and then other people reached out, and then I got invited to the heavy metal. Like, it was like because they paid for that first trip, and like I met Des, and then Des like helped me get on DC. So like, thank you, DC. They've helped me so much. Like, and Des, thank you. But like, it's crazy having people like help you like that. Like, especially when money's been such an issue your whole life, and you like feel like you can't do stuff because of a lack of it, and then to have people help you is insane. So, like, thank you to those companies. Thank you, Fix and World Boards. That's one, a board shop in Bozeman that, like, hooks it up. Thank you, Jay. He's the man.
Skull Candy?
Skull Candy. McKenna. Crab Grab. Connoisseur. The weed plug. That one.
Very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Angela. Who are we missing? Smith. Smith is a new one. That's exciting. Yeah.
Soy Sauce Nation?
Soy Sauce Nation. Yeah, for sure. That one. Cole. I think that's them. Thank you to all of you guys who's like, thank you everyone who's helped me get to this point. Like, seriously, I know that people have like recognized my story or like whatever it is that they get them to like care about me, but there's been like so many people throughout my life that have cared and like tried to put me on, and like I know Hero, like when he met me at the beginning, we were talking about it the other day at Kickball. He was like, I like hit up Ride and K2, like I told everyone about you, and like I was wearing some like kind of like whack kits at the time, so they were like, she's whack. But like I know Hero tried so hard for me, like I'm so like everybody who's helped me get here. Carson's family, my family, it's pretty sick. Entourage, all those boys that helped me like feel comfortable on my snowboard and made it fun for me. And my little brother, because he like gives me so much hope and like made me want to keep going, and like now him and I can travel around and like live a beautiful life together, and like who knows what's gonna come of it all. There's like so much time left.
That's so cool. What's next for Iris Pham?
I'm here right now in my van. I've been kind of just only planning through this point. I like could either, well, we're gonna go to Hood soon with Des. So I might just stick around for the meltdown a little, and then I need to take my winter tires off at some point. Maybe I go home and do that, or I just go straight to Hood if I get consumed in the meltdown. It's really fun being here in Salt Lake. There's so many homies. It's like, it's been raining, but it will dry, and it's like so fun to skate here. I kind of like being here. It's weird. I have this like connection to the river, so like I need to be by water, and Salt Lake doesn't have that. But like other than that, I love being here. So like I stick around as long as I can, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta go back to my woods.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a fun journey, Iris. Thanks for coming and chatting with us. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this space to talk about what's gone on. I'm stoked for people to hear, and I hope that like it inspires them to like be able to maybe have hope to push through their situation of like what's going on, and if they feel like a barrier or like they can't do something because of something limiting them, like no, like you can do it. You just have to like power through a little.
Wise words.
Let's leave it. Let's end it on that. That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Des, thanks for co-hosting. All the sponsors, thanks for supporting the show. All the Patreon members, we appreciate you. Everybody that tunes in, the whole snowboard community. Iris, yourself, Silk D, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. Over and out from the bomb hole. We got another podcast coming at you next Wednesday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Woo! Yay!
Fun show, guys. Fun show. Iris, thanks for sharing that.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you.